morning, everyone. I'm Senator Cruz from District 18 and the acting chair of the Hillsborough Legislative Delegation. The first thing that I'll ask you to do is please be sure and put your microphones on mute. We love your dogs and we love your kids, but we want everyone to be able to hear the speakers. Welcome to what I call Zoomlandia, you know, the land of places where people can wear jackets and turtlenecks and gym shorts. And some of us women can wear dresses that are just a little bit tighter than they used to be and no one can tell. So this is our first ever Health Delegation via digital, electronic, Zoom. This is really not Zoom, this is WebEx, but you get the drift. It's our first time. We've practiced and we're ready, but there may be some glitches. We have many speakers in line today, all of which are very important for all of us. This is a legislative delegation meeting. The legislators are welcome to ask questions of any of the speakers. But before we begin the housekeeping, let me actually, it is 10:02 in the morning, and I'm calling the Hillsborough Legislative Delegation to order. And there's the gavel in. I would like to introduce one of our newest senators, which is not new to all of us, but new to the Senate, Senator Danny Burgess, to lead us in a prayer this morning.
Thank you, Chair. If we could all please bow our heads. God, our Heavenly Father, we thank you for this opportunity to meet and to discuss the issues facing our state. We are so thankful to live in a country where we can meet freely and openly to discuss important matters. And we ask you to bless this country and those gathered here today. We thank you for the men and women of our armed forces and our first responders who put their lives on the line every day so that we may enjoy these freedoms. And we thank you for our healthcare workers and those on the front line with this unprecedented virus. And Lord, we certainly live in a world that is much different than the last time that we convened. And I ask for your guidance and your wisdom for all of us here today, that we may do what's right to help those who are in so much need during this very, very difficult time. Thank you for the holiday season, and thank you so much for all your blessings despite all that we're dealing with. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Next, I would like to introduce one of the hardest working members I know who is feeding the world, and that is Rep. Diane Hart. And would you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Yes. I pledge allegiance to the flag. Are we all going to stand? Are you going to see us do it?
I think I will.
Okay. All righty then. You won't see me, but you'll hear me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Rep. Hart, now I'd like to introduce to you John Learn, who's my Chief of Staff, who put most of this together. Thank you, John. Please call the roll.
Yes, ma'am. So Senator Burgess.
Say here.
Here, sorry, here.
Senator Cruz.
Here.
Senator Roussan.
Here.
Representative Beltran. Representative Driscoll.
Here. Can you hear me?
Yes.
No, Beltran's here.
Thank you, Representative. Representative Hart.
Here.
Representative Coster.
Here.
Representative Learned.
Here.
Representative Toledo.
She's here. I think she's having trouble, but she's here. Okay.
Representative Valdez.
Presente.
All right, Senator, we have a quorum.
Very good. Thank you. Our I'll remind everyone that I'm the chair today only because Representative Newton, who was the previous chair, resigned to run for a different office, and I'm serving as acting chair for this meeting, after which After this meeting, the next meeting will, the new chair will take over. Representative Valdez, for what reason do you rise?
Good morning, everyone, and I rise to nominate Representative Hart for Chair of the Hillsborough County Delegation, Legislative Delegation.
Representative Valdez has nominated Representative Hart to become the chair of the delegation. Are there any other nominations? Nominations are now closed. We'll vote. John, please call the roll for the election of Representative Hart as chair of the Hillsborough County Legislative Delegation.
Representative Beltran,
Yes.
Representative Driscoll,
Yes.
Representative Hart,
Yes.
Representative Coster,
Yes.
Representative Learned,
Yes.
Representative McClure,
Yes.
Representative Toledo, Representative Valdez,
Yes.
By majority vote of the House members, Representative Hart will officially take over as chair of the delegation following this meeting. Congratulations, Rep. Hart. My staff is very happy that you're taking over as.
Thank you.
I will officially become or continue on as the vice chair of the delegation following this meeting. Now we're going to enter into the public testimony portion of this meeting. I want everyone to know that as legislators, it is important to us that we hear what you have to say. We are embarking on a tough budget session and cycle. We have a $2 billion budget deficit, and I will also ask Senator Rousseau and Burgess to say a few words if they like, but everything that you have to say is very important. We have over 60 speakers today, so I don't want to sound brash, but I am going to let everyone know that your allotment is 2 minutes. At the end of 2 minutes, we'll be muting the microphone. So please, if you think that what you have to say or what you have to ask for today will take more than 2 minutes, take a look and start editing. But we are going to start now with the public testimony, and please know that we're glad that you're here. What you have to say is very important to us. We do listen, although we may seem distracted at times, we hear you. And so without further ado, God, why am I doing that today? Senator Rousseau, what would you like to add anything to those comments? I lost him. His staff is not there. Are you there? I see you. I don't know if it's for. Yeah. Senator Rousseau, you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, sir.
I'm sorry, whatever you said, I missed it. My whole screen just cut out.
I said we're about to embark on public testimony and asked if you had anything that you would like to add.
Not at this time. I want to hear from the public, and I want to thank all the elected officials for joining us this morning on a local level.
Very good. Thank you. All right. We'll begin with our first speaker. How are we doing this, John?
Senator, I'll call them out. So our first speaker for today is Chair of the Hillsborough County Commission, Pat Kemp.
Welcome.
Thank you so much for the opportunity to address you. I'll try and be quick. Number one, affordable housing has been a priority of this BOCC since 2017. For the fourth year in a row, we're asking the state not to sweep the affordable housing funds. For more than a decade, we've lost more than $10 to $15 million a year in affordable housing for Hillsborough County. Hillsborough County is now doing its own $10 million affordable housing trust fund, and we need the state to also fund this critical need, especially during these COVID times. Of course, COVID recovery is our first priority, as it will be, I'm sure, for the entire legislature as well. Our MPO, HART, and regional TMA all support moving forward, looking at converting the CSX tracks from USF to Ybor to downtown to McDill for commuter use. We're spending $120 million a mile on this version of I-275, I-4 expansion. Sunrail in Orlando converted tracks for $25 million a mile and made it ready for use. We need the state to prioritize this important project. There remains significant and strong opposition to further widening of I-275 north of downtown with 2 additional 15-foot lanes, 30 more feet of roadway through a vibrant, dense urban area. With more air pollution, increased childhood asthma, cardiovascular disease, and recent studies say perhaps cancer and dementia as well. The continued destruction to the integrity of these urban neighborhoods is not necessary and has strong opposition. We asked for Medicaid expansion. Only 12 states haven't done so, including Florida. Extremely important. We've also set aside in Hillsborough County $5 million on solar panels for libraries, public buildings, and fire stations. We call on the state to transition to renewable instead of fossil fuels. $58 billion a year we're spending out of state. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Commissioner Kemp, and congratulations on being elected chair to the commission. We appreciate you.
Thank you.
Next up is Vice Chair of the Hillsborough County Commission, Commissioner Kimberly Overman.
Thank you. Thank you, delegation members, and it's great to see you all. Congratulations on your election and re-election. As Commissioner Kemp mentioned, affordable housing is crucial to the economic recovery of Hillsborough County. Prior to the pandemic, Hillsborough County had a shortfall of 54,000 dwelling units for our citizens at 80% of the average median income. Given the damage to our local economy due to COVID, that shortfall has grown even larger. I want to thank you for your fight to protect Sadowski last year, but the SHIP funds were not appropriated to Hillsborough County. So we are due $12 million that we were supposed to get last year. And I'm afraid in this budget crisis, we're going to see that occur again in 2021. But I do want to help you recognize that critically, affordable housing is a shot in the arm to our economy and our local economy in order to help us recover from the impact of coronavirus on our communities. It is critical to our recovery, and it'll provide housing for our first responders, teachers, and healthcare workers that are in desperate need of housing in Hillsborough County. Second issue involves our partnership in protecting our residents. Some of us were on the call recently where people were living in horrifying living conditions, afraid to say anything for fear of being evicted with nowhere else to go. We can work together to protect our residents. Cleaning up Statute 509 could give some help through local code enforcement efforts. Apartments, as you well know, are also regulated along with hotels and motels. And the DBPR only has 1 inspector for 1,000 square miles in Hillsborough County. We have over 100 code enforcements in Hillsborough County, and we want to partner with the state in order to make sure that our residents have safe places to live. This is incredibly important given that the county needs sometimes these hotels for homelessness transition, as well as the landing place when people are evicted. I'm looking forward to working with you to help protect our citizens from unsafe and unhealthy living conditions. I believe Senator Rousson and Representative Hart have already begun looking into this. Please stand together on this issue. Given the impending eviction crisis on the horizon, this issue is now urgent and in need of your attention. Lastly, I ask to request Support for last session's HB 903, co-sponsored by Representative Beltran and received bipartisan support. Bringing that back, along with the passage of Senate Bill 1328, will allow drivers that have their licenses suspended to be able to have those suspensions stopped for unpaid fines and fees, and it would allow a uniform payment plan process that would be established statewide. This would allow a worker to legally drive to support his or her family, meet their financial obligations, and avoid going to prison for not having the monies or the resources to pay the fines. This is a rational and reasonable solution, and I ask your unified support on these two bills. Again, thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. Thank you for serving. And thank you for always keeping our residents in the forefront of all that you do. I look forward to working with you again this year. And I'll stop there.
Thank you, Commissioner. In between some of this testimony, I want to introduce you to our legislative delegation. So I'd like to introduce now and ask her to briefly talk a little bit about herself. And that is one of our newest reps, Rep. Coster from District 64. Please introduce yourself. Well, I thought we waited. Maybe I missed her. Let me move on to Senator Rouson from District 19 in the Tampa Bay area. Senator Rouson, would you say a few words? I see him.
He needs to unmute himself.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Senator Rouson. I represent District 19, as Senator Cruz says, which is portions of Hillsborough and Pinellas counties. I just won re-election to the Senate seat. I've been appointed to several committees that I think will be helpful to Hillsborough County and my constituents. Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on to Commissioner Mariella Smith. Good morning.
Good morning. So I'm Hillsborough County Commissioner Mariella Smith, representing District 5, which is countywide. And because you've already heard from our board chair and vice chair about our county concerns, I'm just going to ask you for one thing that costs nothing. Please join our county in asking the governor to reissue an executive order that would permit local governments to conduct public meetings virtually for the duration of this declared state of emergency. Our county commission sent a letter to the governor with that request last week. Given the recent surge of positive COVID-19 cases throughout our county and the state, we are having significant challenges meeting the in-person quorum requirement for our board and other statutorily mandated boards and committees. These in-person quorum requirements are challenging to many different boards and councils besides the county commission, and they impact not only government officials, but the private citizens who volunteer to serve on our boards doing important work in our county on their own time for no pay. Many of these boards have had to cancel meetings for lack of a quorum. The result is they are unable to conduct county business, and that has real economic impact on our communities and local business. So I ask you to support our county's request to the governor to reinstate the waiver of the in-person quorum requirements for local government meetings. And I'll ask you to consider making new legislation this session to change the quorum requirement for public meetings, to allow local jurisdictions to temporarily lift the in-person quorum requirements during any state of emergency, whether a pandemic or a hurricane, to allow us to safely and effectively function through virtual meetings during any declared state of emergency. And I'll end with something my colleagues didn't mention, but it is a county concern, and is the ask for extra funding to help us with the funding we're putting forward to convert septic systems to sewer, which impacts 125,000 homes within Hillsborough County and communities like Carrollwood, Grandin, Gibsonton, and Ruskin, and more inside our urban area. So I'll ask you to support that. I know it's a bipartisan effort. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Next up, Senator Cruz is the chair of the Hillsborough County School Board, Lynn Gray. You have 2 minutes.
Good morning, Florida legislators, and thank you so much for putting together this forum. My name is Lynn Gray. I am the chairwoman, of the Hillsborough County Public School Board, also serving countywide District 7, and just recently reelected. There are a few new things going on in our Hillsborough County Public Schools. We have 3 new board members, all educators. So I would say look forward to an emphasis on instruction and, of course, education that's relevant to the changing demographics that we're facing. There are 3 considerations that I would like to share real briefly, and they are issues. I think the number one is, of course, our teachers. Our teachers are frontline workers. They are facing our children every day. And I know there has been a pay raise for the new teachers, but I definitely will begin asking for more compensation for our teachers, which, by the way, act as our parents, many times their parents, and are certainly putting themselves at risk each and every day. I also have a sense of urgency to call out. We are facing a tremendous amount of children in our African American communities, or Black communities, or communities of color, who have fallen behind academically during this COVID crisis, to a point where they will have probably a year minus of education, and they will affect the society, our taxpayer community. So in so doing, I would like to share that we will be doing many remediation efforts apart from the state, which I know will give us, I hope, a little bit of funding. But to this end, I will be asking for an immediate funding apparatus to be set up so we can get our children who have fallen behind, most high needs, PLL, Black community, Hispanic communities, for remediation.
Chair Gray, that is 2 minutes.
Thank you very much for that time.
Thank you. Next up, delegation is the Superintendent of Hillsborough County Public Schools, Addison Davis.
Thank you, sir. And I want to begin by thanking this delegation for your leadership and championing crucial funding for Hillsborough County Public Schools during this challenging year. As you know, each and every dollar counts. As a large school district like Hillsborough County, we have been able to provide increased safety protocols and innovative learning platform solutions along the way. We have continue to anticipate needing the same level of support for next year as we maintain the same level of safety and creating learning strategies for all students through choice. The pandemic has created hardships for teachers, families, and students as we work diligently to deliver high quality instruction across multiple platforms. So maintaining funding for the 21 school year in the legislative session will always be an ask of our district in order to build successful years and platforms for our children so they can compete inside and outside of our classroom. So as we transition, our main priorities for Hillsborough County Public Schools this year will be focused directly on creating a safe and educational environment as we seek to provide a world-class education. We are asking the delegation to consider to hold school districts and schools harmless from presenting and extending school grades. We know during the pandemic, while we need to assess our children, school grades and district grades are not a priority as the well-being is. We're asking the delegation also to eliminate high-stakes assessments at the secondary level and only focus on ACT and SAT. In addition to that, we will ask for the delegation to truly, during a pandemic, as the achievement gap continues to widen, to look at providing additional dollars to third grade teachers and third grade allocations to be able to address the achievement gap and prepare our students, as this is a gatekeeper year for all of our students. And then looking at overall as we come back, making, as the vaccine's available, making it really available for all of our essential employees, from our teachers and our support staff, to further protect our children. And at the end of the day, continue to take a House Bill 641 mentality, and we're grateful for that for new teachers and early career adopters, and transition that to veteran teachers to show a sense of care every single day. So There's a lot we have going on related to this work. We asked also consider allowing ELL students to be able to compete and take the state assessments in their native language to allow.
Superintendent Davis, that is 2 minutes for you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
A lot to say.
So next up is President of Hillsborough County Community College, and that is Dr. Ken Atwater.
Hey, John, this is Representative Coster. I apologize. I believe that you were trying to get a hold of me a few minutes ago and I was having some connection issues. So I apologize for not being here to introduce myself.
Rep, we'll get right to you in just a moment. We're going to finish up with President Atwater first.
Sure.
Well, good morning, everyone, and thank you again for allowing us to come forward and talk to you about HCC's need. We know that you'll have a difficult decision to make this year regarding the state's budget. And with that in mind, we're not coming to you today for asking for additional funding requests. Our top priority is very simple. It is reflect how the Hillsborough County School District asked for. It's simply maintaining our current funding. For example, each year since 2016, we've been able to receive transportation money for support. That has supported our regional transportation training center. Each year we graduate about 300 transportation technicians to work in an area that requires about 15,000 jobs on an annual basis. Those are good paying jobs. They have an annual income of over $40,000 annually with the economic impact to this region over $6.4 million. We know you're going to have some challenges, very big challenges, but always remember that we are one of the driving forces to the economic recovery for the pandemic. And with the decline in enrollment or with the cuts that we've been facing this year, if we continue to go along that line, it's going to have economic impact. And we're just asking to maintain our current funding. With that, I will stop and hope all of you have a great holiday and stay safe. And we would love to answer any questions anyone may have.
Thank you, Dr. Atwater.
Thank you, sir.
Next on our list is Hillsborough County Clerk of the Court and Comptroller-elect Cindy Stewart. Welcome, Cindy.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. And I apologize. I'm only going to be on here for a few minutes. I am actually in Tallahassee with the other 22 newly elected clerks across the state. So I look forward to continuing.
Cindy, we're getting a little feedback on your audio.
You are. I don't know if I can correct it or not.
On where your mute button is, if you click that little down arrow.
What do you want me to do?
When the mute button is on your WebEx meeting.
We'll come back to you, Clerk Stewart. We'll come back. Now I'd like to introduce Representative Coster, one of our newest representatives from District 64. Rep. Coster, you're welcome for a minute to introduce yourself to the delegation and those that are here.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. I promise I won't even take close to a minute. I'm Tracy Coster, and I'm representative for House District 64, which includes about 70% of the district is in Hillsborough County. So very happy to be here and look forward to serving with all of you.
Well, we look forward to getting to know you as well, Rep. So thank you for being here.
Senator Cruz?
Yes.
It's Lawrence. Can we just give Tracy a round of applause for being tremendously shorter than Jamie Grant with speeches?
I hope you're watching, Jamie Grant. That's
I mean, if you want, I can go on a diatribe, but
no, we don't. No, that's perfect. Thank you.
No, we know most of it, but thank you. That's terrific. That's great. I love that. I do. Next in the lineup, did we get? We'll just go right on to one of the country's best public defenders, Julianne Holt.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you so very much for affording us this opportunity. I am going to be very brief also. I am going to be requesting that, number one, at this point in time, if the chair of the delegation would consider asking the governor to hold the public defenders and the state attorneys harmless as it relates to the 6% holdback of our current budget, because it is causing a tremendous amount of pressure on our offices to keep conducting business at a time when we have in my office a $1.3 million budget pullback at this point. And our caseload has doubled during the pandemic. And then for the upcoming year, we would be requesting that you again ask the governor, as well as you and the legislature, to hold us harmless. As you can imagine, at this point in time, the mental health issues that exist, as well as the public safety issues that exist, we literally in the court system are considered essential workers. We are frontline workers. We have court 365 days a year. And the mounting pressure on the criminal justice system, including our indigent clients, including individuals that are in the jail, is mounting on a daily basis. I want you to understand that we have been diligently working throughout the pandemic. Our office has been open. People have physically been working not only in the office, but in the courtrooms. We have already sworn over 45 juries since October the 16th, and we are diligently working. So I would ask your support, not only in this present year, but also in the upcoming year from a financial standpoint. I thank you all for everything that you do on a daily basis for us, and may everyone have a very happy holiday season.
Thank you, Ms. Holt. Same to you. Waiting for you, John.
Yes, ma'am. So next, we'll go back and see if we can connect with Hillsborough County Clerk of Courts, Cindy Stewart.
I just want to say good morning to all of you. Thank you for your service. As you know, I've been happy right now with the 22 other newly elected clerks across this state. So it's exciting to be able to be up here and learn from all of them. I'll be very brief. As you know, I'll be reaching out to all of your offices as we move forward to continue the conversation around funding for the clerk's offices. Like Ms. Holt's office, our office has never shut down. In fact, we were one of the first offices across the state to actually put a grand jury in place and have a successful trial. So we're really excited about that. But funding is an issue. We are down millions of dollars because of the inability for people to come in and pay fines, plus the people who are in this community who are not working at the time. So, but I will make sure that I get in, especially those of you who are serve on judiciary. We have issues that we would like to see changed with our funding model and how it works across this state. But I'm delighted to be here and delighted to serve, and it's so great to see so many very friendly faces on this delegation. So you all have a great rest of your meeting.
Thank you, Clerk, sir.
Thank you.
Next up, we have the State Attorney, Andrew Warren of the 13th District. State Attorney Warren, you have 2 minutes.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Madam Chair, and the entire delegation. Our number one issue this year is the budget, and I just want to give a brief summary of our budget status. I inherited 4 years ago roughly a $2 million annual deficit out of a $30 million budget. That deficit was covered by reserves in our trust funds. Now, over the past 4 years, we've worked really hard to eliminate that deficit, and we have, in fact, balanced our budget. The legislature, however, has swept about $2.5 million from our trust funds, depleting that rainy day fund for when the state inevitably has a bad economic year. So COVID has brought about that bad economic year, and now we've been left with a much smaller umbrella. The legislature told us to prepare for between a 6 and 10% budget cut. I just want to make sure the delegation understands how significant an impact that would have on our operations. 96 cents out of every dollar we spend goes to pay for salaries. We simply have no fat in our budget to trim. A 6 to 10% budget cut would force us to reduce positions, meaning attorney and staff positions. And reducing positions reduces our ability to prosecute cases. We've been working internally to figure out how we could accommodate such a drastic cut, but ultimately what we need the legislature to understand is that if it were to cut our budget this much, we're going to need some guidance on what types of crimes you no longer want us to prosecute. Because that way when victims and community members come and say, how come you're not prosecuting these crimes, we're all on the same page. This is, of course, a difficult situation for all of us, and my office stands by, ready to work together to find a solution that doesn't jeopardize the safety of our community. Thank you very much. Have a great morning.
Thank you very much. Happy holidays to you.
You as well.
I would now like to interject just for a moment and introduce and ask him to say a few words, Representative McClure from District 58.
Thank you, Senator. Great to be with you all. You know, I look forward to these meetings in person. It's kind of, you know, the kickoff to the legislative session, and this is certainly a different spin, but it's great to see so many friends and hear the issues from the community, and we look forward to collectively taking them up to Tallahassee and seeing what we can do. So thank you all for being here, and everyone stay safe.
Great. Thank you. Rep. Leonard, one of our newest elected members, would you jump in here and introduce yourself quickly?
Absolutely. Thank you, Senator. Thank you for doing this. You've been an incredible ally and leader in this community for a long time. All I'll say is I appreciate, thank you, all of you, for being on this call. As Rep. Coster, who talked earlier, can probably attest, this is very much drinking from the fire hose as a new representative, and I look forward to meeting each of you one-on-one so we can a lot more than the 2 minutes individually. Please reach out don't hesitate to reach out to my office to schedule any of that. Thank you very much.
Great. And our newest senator, Senator Burgess, please introduce yourself to those listening to our delegation.
Thank you, Madam Vice Chair. My name is Danny Burgess. I just really wanted to say thank you for letting this Pasco County boy into the Hillsborough County delegation. I'm honored. It's great to be with you all. We have a big job ahead of us. We have a big mission that we have to tackle. We all know what that is. And I'll be chairing the Select Committee on Pandemic Preparedness and Response in the Senate. And so I'm really looking forward to hearing and continuing to hear from everybody on this call as to how we can look at what you're doing and meet your mission. Thank you.
All right, very good. John, let's continue on with the program.
Yes, ma'am. Next up, we have Dr. Idalia Phillips, the president of the League of Women Voters. You have 2 minutes. Dr. Phillips, are you there? I have her listed. We'll just go to the next speaker, and that would be Mr. Chris Card, the Chief of Community-Based Care for Eckerd Connect.
Hard time hearing you there. Just try that one more time.
Let's just continue on. We can come back to you, Ms. Phillips. We'll try you and a few more speakers. Dr. Phillips, I'm sorry. Let's continue with Mr. Chris Card, with Chief of Community-Based Care for Eckerd Connects.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm Chris Card with Eckerd Connects, and we are the lead agency in Hillsborough County, Circuit 13, for the child welfare system. I want to thank you all for the support, the continued support that you've provided to our foster kids and our families and our staff. We were able to get a case management pilot program in the last legislative session that's helping us move forward in making improvements. Our county commission has stepped up to help us locally with support for several diversion and prevention services, and has reduced the number of kids coming into care. I do want you to know that we have 186 case managers in Hillsborough County that are going out every day visiting families in this pandemic, have been doing so all along, and being very generous with their time and their risk of going out, but working hard to make sure that our kids and families are protected and maintained together. So I think that there's been a yeoman's effort on our part of our staff and our foster parents taking care of these kids. We've had some problems with kids getting infected, or foster parents getting infected with the COVID-19 pandemic virus, but most of them have come through fairly well. So I wanted to let you know how hard the team's been working and how well it's been going in adjusting to the circumstances over the time period. In addition, we did 380 adoptions last year, which is a high number for Hillsborough County, and we're excited about that. We continue to move forward. The courts have been extremely helpful in getting those adoptions pushed through and done. We did 60 adoptions on our adoption day this November, even though they were all virtual and done outside of the courtroom. But it was still an exciting time. And
Mr. Card, that's 2 minutes.
Okay.
Sorry, thank you.
Continue with the funding program, but I'll say to maintain that our current level is what we're expecting or hoping for. And again, I'll be around to visit each of you.
Thank you, Chris. It's good to see you. Members, we are scheduled till 1 o'clock. We have roughly been through 10 speakers and there are 64. So I don't want anyone to feel slighted when John tells you that your 2 minutes are up. I would ask you to try to be cognizant of that. If you speak over, then someone that's waited all morning may not have the opportunity. So let's look out for one another. And I would like to also introduce and welcome Representative Toledo from District 60 to introduce herself to those that are watching and listening today. Maybe we lost her. I know, I see Rep. Valdez. How about Rep. Valdez from District 62? Good morning.
Good morning, good morning, good morning, Tampa Bay. I hope everyone's having a great day. I am your representative of District 62, and I'm grateful to be here today to be able to discuss what really matters to us. And I think that we're going to hear a common theme throughout our session today, because things are tough. And but we're tougher, right? So we're going to get through this together, and I'm sure that working together and putting our heads together will make it work. So thank you all for being here in our delegation meeting today. And once again, thank you so much from the bottom of my heart for your service and for allowing me to be a part of this team as well.
Thank you very much, Rep. Valdez. We appreciate you. And I wanted to introduce Rep. Driscoll. I see you there. Welcome, and introduce yourself.
Thank you, Senator. I appreciate it. Good morning. I'm Fentress Driscoll, State Representative for Florida House District 63, which covers much of North Tampa. I just wanted to say thank you to everyone who's here. I know that 2020 has been stressful. I can hear it even in your voices that your budgets have been strained, really beyond reach. And, our hearts go out to you and to your organizations. Please know we're going to do all that we can to fight for you and try to make sure that you have as much funding as possible so that you can carry out your critical services to the community. So thank you for being here and happy holidays.
Thank you, Rep. Driscoll. John, let's continue on with the program.
Yes, ma'am. Next up, we'll try and go back to Dr. Idalia Phillips, the president of the League of Women Voters. Dr. Phillips, you have 2 minutes.
Good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Good morning, everyone. My name is Dr. Idalia Phillips, president of the League of Women Voters of Hillsborough County, a nonpartisan grassroots political organization. On behalf of the League, thank you for hearing our concerns and taking those concerns back to the various legislative committees. A special thank you for working to improve the health and well-being of your constituents and their natural environments. In 2021, the League will educate on and advocate for the following legislative priorities and their concomitant issues. For government and election law, we support automatic voter registration, same-day voter registration, improved online voter registration, and voting by mail as a permanent status. We hope to extend deadlines for signature cures, recounts, and allow 10 days for postmark delays. We support home rule for counties and municipalities and oppose any preemptive legislation to counter home rule. We will continue to support voter registration via the 2018 Amendment 4. Within the natural resources arena, we support full funding of the Florida Forever Amendment to protect and monitor our drinking water, prevent saltwater intrusion, and the work on restoration of the Everglades. We support a statewide ban on fracking. We will advocate for the financial support of low-income and minority communities who are disproportionately affected by proximity to industrial pollution and poor air quality. Additionally, we support legislation that would promote the use of solar, wind power, and electric vehicles.
Thank you,
Within the
Dr.
health-
Phillips. Your 2 minutes are up.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Next up.
Okay, ma'am, I would like now to, I'd like now to just take a moment and introduce Representative Beltran from District 57.
Thank you, Chair, Senator. Appreciate everyone coming out. Obviously, we had folks taking a lot of interest in our work in this very troubling time. I represent South Hillsborough County in the Florida House. I was just reelected to my second term. It's great to be here. I do want to touch on the issues of civil and criminal justice very briefly. I take a great deal of interest in that because I feel that dispute resolution and security is the core government interest that comes before everything else. And I'm concerned about the docket congestion in our courts. The Florida Supreme Court previously certified us for 4 county court judges. We obtained legislative authorization for that, but it wasn't in the budget. And now they've certified us for 6. And I've seen personally in my private practice that the docket congestion, both in the criminal and civil realm, is has real consequences for the people. And I heard from State Attorney Warren. I guess I just respectfully disagree that we've not provided adequate funding to that office. As the State Attorney said, 96% of the budget is salaries. We need a 6 to 10% budget cut this year, according to Mr. Warren. I'll take a 10% budget cut if his office will take a 10% budget cut. I think we can all take a 10% budget cut, and the legislators are the worst paid of any public servant in Hillsborough. So I'll take it if everyone else will. Let me know. Great to be here.
Thank you, Rep. Beltran. Let's go ahead and continue on, John, please.
Yes, ma'am. Next up, we have Ms. Damaris Allen, the president of the Florida Collaboration Project. Ms. Allen, your 2 minutes begin now.
Damaris, are you there? Let's move on, John, and we'll catch up with her. I'm sure she's here somewhere.
Yes, ma'am. We'll continue on to Ms. Jasmine Dixon, a high school student with the Hillsborough County Anti-Drug Alliance. Ms. Dixon, your 2 minutes begin now.
Good morning. My name is Jasmine Dixon. I am a member of East Bay High School Students Working Against Tobacco, or SWAT Club, and I'm speaking on the behalf of SWAT Club located throughout Hillsborough County. SWAT is a united movement of empowered youth working towards a tobacco-free future. The mission of SWAT is to mobilize, educate, and equip Florida youth to revolt against to de-glamorize big tobacco. Through the support of Hillsborough County government and guidance from the Hillsborough County Anti-Drug Alliance, SWAT has been able to exist and expand our outreach over the past several years through our prevention activities, which are both fun and informative. Today, I would like to share information with you regarding vaping and e-cigarettes usage among youth. Did you know that 1 in 4 high school students uses e-cigarettes or vapes? Nationally, 5.3 million in high school students use these products, which means that even if your child is not vaping, they'll most certainly have friends who are. Parents and other adults need to understand how prevalent vaping is and the serious health risk is posed to young people in order to protect kids from the growing threat. The rate of vaping among youth are so high that the U.S. Surgeon General declared the problem as an epidemic. E-cigs and vapes are sold in huge variety of kid-friendly flavors, from gummy bears to banana ice to mango and mint. Studies have found that most youth who vape uses flavored products and say they use these products because they come in flavors that they like. A recent Surgeon General report concluded that the use of nicotine by youth, any form including vaping, is unsafe. It causes addiction and can harm adolescent brain development, which impacts learning. To prevent vaping by youth, the health advocates are calling for a total ban on all flavored e-cigarettes and vapes. The White House recently announced restriction on some flavored e-cigs, but this policy contains loopholes and exempt thousands of flavored products that appeals to kids. We need a complete ban on flavored e-cigs to protect kids from harm. This might sound like a lot of scary news, but there are people fighting this problem every day, and SWAT is one organization that is in the front lines doing it.
Thank you, Jasmine. Thank you for being here, Jasmine. That's wonderful. And I appreciate that as a high school student, you've taken on a project like this. Members, I also want to let you know that this is a legislative delegation meeting and you're welcome to ask questions of any speaker.
Madam Chair, this is
Sure.
Representative Driscoll.
You're recognized.
Thank you so much. I just wanted to make a couple of comments. And the first is to thank Jasmine for being here today. I think out of all the delegation meetings I've attended, she probably is the youngest speaker. I know that takes a lot of courage. Thank you for your leadership in your community and in your school. And then I also did just want to reply to some comments that Representative Beltran made, because I thought about it while Jasmine was speaking. You know, the 6 to 10% budget cuts that we'd be asking folks to take, to the extent that State Attorney Warren says that that would impact people's salaries, I mean, I feel like the difference between those salary cuts and salary cuts to the legislative salary cuts, I mean, it feels like a full-time job if you do this job right as a lawmaker, but this is our second job. This is our part-time job. We have other, forms of income. And so I just want us to be very thoughtful and sensitive as we are listening to the needs of the community and hearing about these agencies that have, real problems and real budget crises. And I know there'll be more opportunities to have one-on-one conversations online, but I just didn't want that moment to pass without chiming in and speaking up for the hard working prosecutors across our community. So thank you.
Senator Cruz, this is Representative Rayner. If I could just...
Hi, how are you?
I'm well, thank you. And I apologize for being late. My mother is in the hospital, so I am juggling a lot of things right now. But I did want to kind of chime in to what Rep. Driscoll said. I actually worked as a public defender for Ms. Holt. She was my first boss I ever had when I got out of law school. And I know what it is to work on a state salary as a new lawyer, especially, and not making a lot of money. And and being mindful that, like everyone, I have loans, I have all the things that come along with that, and that, it would be very, very hard. So just keep in mind that, while it's easy to talk about numbers, but there are real people who are being impacted by budget cuts when they come.
Thank you. And I'm saying a little prayer for your mom, and I hope that she'll be okay. But while you're here, Rep, would you introduce yourself to those that are listening today?
Hi, my name is Michelle Rayner Goolsby. Pronoun she, her, hers, they, them. I am an attorney and I represent House District 7. So I have a little bit of Hillsborough County, South Hillsborough County, St. Petersburg, and Pinellas, Manatee, and Sarasota. Just happy to be here. Happy to see so many good friends, and I'm ready to get to work. So thank you so much, Senator.
You're welcome. Rep. Toledo, I see you. And, I think I tried to introduce you earlier. Can you hear us? Can we hear you? Oh, we still can't hear you. All right. Can you write something on a legal pad and put it up against the camera? I'm just kidding. We really want to hear from you. So if you can make this work, we'll come back to you again. All right, John, let's keep going.
Yes, ma'am. Chair. Next up, we have Ms. Damaris Allen, who is the president of the Florida Collaboration Project.
Hi, Damaris.
Hello, good morning, and thank you so much for the opportunity to speak. I apologize if my internet is laggy. I have 2 e-learners at home, and I will be as brief as possible. One thing that the pandemic has done is highlighted the importance of our public schools. That has really come to the forefront, that children receive so much more than an education in our public school system. And so I understand that with a $2 billion budget deficit, that usually that one of the first things that comes to the chopping block is public education. But I really want to echo what Superintendent Davis said, that at the very least, we need to maintain funding for our public education. My preference would be that we would want to increase funding. I would also echo echo what he said about holding districts harmless and eliminating high stakes testing. This is not the year to put that additional pressure on our kids, our teachers, and our families when many of them are facing evictions and things like that, job loss, and a lot of additional stressors. And then also echo what he said about increasing funding for veteran teachers. Thank you so much for the increase in funding for new teachers, but we also have to take care of our teachers who have been here for years taking care of our kids. I also would like to highlight that we are really at a place in our public schools that we have more resources and resource officers and police officers than any other student support services. That means more officers than we have nurses, psychologists, social workers. And when we're in the middle of the pandemic, it really comes to the forefront how needed those services are. So I would like to see an increased funding for those student support service. Also a recognition that that often when we increase officers in school, there's also disproportionate disciplinary action towards our minorities, particularly our Black boys. And that I will follow up with your offices. I think I'm up with time. With your offices. Thank you.
Thank you, Damaris. It's great to see you again. Happy holidays.
Thank you. You too.
All right, next up we have Dr. Sandra Braham, the President and CEO of Gulf Coast Jewish Family and Community Services.
Good morning, Senator Cruz and delegation. Thank you so much for the opportunity to bring before you the non-custodial parent employment program, which is housed in the Transportation and Economic Development budget at the state. In 2020, we were fortunate to receive a $250,000 workload adjustment because we were asked to expand to Hernando County, which we did. This year, we asked last year for $500,000, and I don't want to even think about where we are this year with the difficult decisions that you have. However, in light of COVID, we are exceeding all of our goals in job placements, in salaries, and payment of child support. For every dollar that the state invests in this program, $3 is returned in child support for families. And that's where this program is so important. We have requested a $500,000 increase because we're going to see a huge increase in the need as people begin to go back to work. For non-custodial parents, these are hard to employ individuals who many times have records. And so they're 5 times more difficult to employ. So we want to thank you for your support. Ask for your continued support. Please don't let us lose that workload adjustment when we've expanded and we're seeing a greater need than ever. And if you find an extra $250,000 to bring us to the 500, we really thank you so much.
Thank you, Doctor.
Next up, we have Mr. Louis Orloff with Orloff Advisors.
Mute myself. Thank you. I'm unmuted, right?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Sorry about that. Quick 15 tenths of a second gone. Thanks for having me this morning. I'm a retired resident of St. Petersburg, Florida. Senator Rashad, congratulations, and to all of you. And I'm here to talk to you a little bit about something that the new people will learn a lot about. Chapter 718 is the section of the statute that governs condominiums and is managed primarily through DBPR. I have been working for the last couple of years on pursuing legislation to establish some guidelines, guardrails for condominiums to be able to better invest their reserve funds. DBPR has written some of their own guidelines expanding on what statute says. So now we're at a position where statute needs to be brought in line to clarify DBPR. There are just roughly 1 million Floridians live in community associations. There are approximately 50,000 community associations in Florida, and most of them are pretty much south of where we're at right now. And so this affects a lot of people. So when we do our own personal financial planning, we would not be happy with 55 basis point return. And that's what the associations are getting on their money. And the state board of administration manages our employee pension funds. They've averaged 7% over the last 12 years. So we all know the money doubles at 7% every 10 years. So the associations have left millions
I'm sorry,
of dollars.
Mr. Orloff, I'm sorry. Your 2 minutes are up.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Next up, we have Ms. Janet Doherty, the Executive Director for the Environmental Protection Commission of Hillsborough County.
Good morning, and thank you for hosting this annual meeting today. I am the Executive Director with the Environmental Protection Commission of Hillsborough County. We are your local environmental agency. We have 4 operational divisions: water, wetlands, air, and waste. We also have over 16 state and federal delegated programs that flow through the EPC. EPC's General Counsel, Rick Marotti, and I have met with most of you, and I know most of you personally, but we will be scheduling meetings, as we do annually, to meet and answer any questions that you may have. And we are always here as a resource to you if you have any environmental issues with your constituents. Please direct them to us and we will help them or expedite them to the agency that they need to talk to. Currently, issues that may come up, obviously every year, is home rule. There have been some tree trimming issues. Solar has been something to discuss. But as with everybody else, our biggest concern facing this year currently right now is the funding for the petroleum cleanup. That petroleum cleanup, we've been doing it for decades. It flows through the FDEP. It is paid for with gas tax, but this is real pollution that can affect groundwater. In Hillsborough County and the EPC have a real need to continue that work. So with that, I just want to say thank you so much. Happy holidays. Everyone be safe, and look forward to meeting with each and every one of you. Thank you.
Janet, thank you very much for the good work that you do. How long have you been there?
I just celebrated 5 years, Senator. And
thank you.
This is a great group of people. EPC works hard. The staff is wonderful, and we're driven by science, but we're a resource to you and to the citizens of Hillsborough County. But thank you so much for your kind words.
You're welcome.
You're welcome.
Next up, we have Ms. Beth Alden, the Executive Director of the Hillsborough Metropolitan Planning Organization.
Good morning. It's such a pleasure to see you all. On behalf of all of the MPOs of West Central Florida, I want to thank you for your support for this region's transportation major project priority list, which I've emailed to your staff the latest version. With your support, we have had several wins the last few years as this region competes with the rest of the state for major projects, including the I-275 West Shore District Interchange, the I-75 Big Bend Road Interchange, and our first bus rapid transit project in the region, the Central Avenue BRT. It's recently been announced that pandemic revenue reductions will likely delay 2 major projects: a rail overpass near Port Tampa Bay that's essential for our economy, and an I-275 project in St. Pete. This is where we need your help because funds for these projects are allocated in Tallahassee. Many people don't know that funds for smaller projects like sidewalks and bus service actually come to this district by formula, and state budget earmarks don't necessarily bring new funding and sometimes shift dollars away from projects that have been prioritized with objective criteria and public input. And so I just wanted to let you know that as well. For example, in the 2020 budget, there was an earmark for T-BARTA that meant that work on Hart's bus maintenance facility actually had to be postponed. Finally, many of you know that we have one of the highest rates of death and serious injury in the country on our roads. And so we'd ask for your support for strengthening criteria for hazardous walking around schools, for enforcement of distracted driving, and for continuing to use proven safety tools like adding flashers at crosswalks and using cameras to reduce red light running deaths. And I want to just thank you so much for all of the support that you've provided to this region's transportation planners over the years.
Thank you, Beth.
Next up, we have Ms. Jewel Colvin, the board member with the Florida Citizens Alliance.
Excuse me, John.
Yes, sorry.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair. I have a question for Ms. Aiden. And my question, yeah, the MPO for Beth. Hi, Beth. Good morning. Good morning. May I ask a question?
Of course.
Absolutely. You're recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I understand that Hart had a $1.5 million reduction or reallocation from maintenance to provide services or fill a gap. Can you describe what that gap was that we had to transfer those dollars out of Hart's maintenance?
Sure. So there's a certain amount of money that's set aside from the state gas tax revenues and the Transportation Trust Fund specifically for public transit, and then is distributed to each of the districts. The districts then work with the transit agencies to figure out how to use those funds. And Hart has been working to do a number of improvements at their maintenance facility in East Tampa. There are stormwater improvements that need to be done. There are building facility improvements that need to be done. And so they're piecing together funding as they can bring it together. And so the funding had been set aside in the DOT work program. Obviously not complete funding to do everything that was needed at that facility, but it was, we were trying to piece this together. With the budget earmark, the funds had to be shifted to TBARDA to do a study.
Thank you, Ms. Aiden. Senator Cruz and to the delegation, one of my concerns is, and I don't know if you all are aware or not, but when TBARDA was created by this body, it was just a creation of the body, and there's no funding attached to that. So, of course, we're taking money from FDOT to be able to do projects for TBARDA, yet TBARDA cannot, in my opinion, will not be able to continue to do the work that needs to be done in our metropolitan area because they really don't have a budget. We created this group, but did not attach any resources to this group in order to do the work that the statute intended it to do. So I think that's something that maybe we can look at. And I know that it's a tough year with COVID and all this, and that's important, absolutely. But also the work of being able to be a little bit more progressive in our transportation in Hillsborough County and in the Tampa Bay area, because it's not going to be very attractive for businesses if we're going to have I-7 or 275 malfunction junction all over our county. So I think that that's something that we need to try and have a discussion on when we get to Tallahassee to see how we can go ahead and support TBARDA a little bit. Thank you.
Right. Thank you, Rep. Valdez. Thank you very much. I'm going to check back in with Rep. Toledo. Is she taking care of her sound issues? Do we know? And I think with the exception, Rep. Hart, I haven't given you an opportunity to speak. Let me welcome you and let you introduce yourself.
Good morning. Thank you very much. Many of you know me. I'm Diane Hart. I represent House District 61 here in Hillsborough County. I'm not going to say anything right now. I have a lot of new ideas that I think we as a delegation can do to improve our community's input. I love listening to your ideas. I'm writing them all down. I will get back to people one-on-one at a later date as soon as this is over and we get up to Tallahassee. I'll have Malik schedule some meetings for me. So I'm happy to be able to help in any way that I can. Of course, you all know we don't really have any money this year. I don't know what our housing trust fund is going to look like with the Sadowski. I am praying that we do not sweep any of our $387 million. We desperately need it throughout Florida. So I will continue that fight in Tallahassee. Thank you all so much. And thank you all for voting for me this morning.
Thank you, Rep. Hart. Thank you very much. Rep. Toledo, can we hear you? No. All right, I give. Okay, John, let's continue on.
Yes, ma'am, Ms. Chair. Next up, we have Mrs. Jewel Colvin, who is a board member with the Florida Citizens Alliance. Ms. Coleman, I believe you're muted. There you go.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, we can.
Great, thank you. Thank you, and my name is Jolay Colvin, and I am representing the Florida Citizens Alliance today. Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you everyone, the delegation, for your service and this opportunity to speak today. Our organization represents over 100 grassroots organizations across the state and an active data list of over 100,000, and we have a focus on real solutions that improve student learning. And today I would like to present to you as many as I can, these 8 different components of our 2021 legislative agenda that focuses on 3 areas: one on school choice, on safety in schools, and then excellence in public education. And we are anxious to work with you this year on the following. First, to authorize universal education savings accounts for all Florida parents and expand parental choice options and eligibility for the Gardner, Hope, Tax Credit, and Family Empowerment Scholarship. School choice should be an option for all who desire it. 2, to aggressively advocate for the 2020 Parental Rights Bill that was sponsored by Representative Grahl and Senator Stargell. It died in Senate committee near the end of the session, but did not fail on its merit. 3, to allow parents to use all Florida scholarships for online instruction. 4, to strengthen Florida's statutes to protect minors in our schools from exposure to pornographic materials. We have our watchdog groups across the state who have found numerous examples of harmful materials. This is an extensive list, but not exhaustive. We need to strengthen Florida Statute 847 to protect our children. 5, to improve the legal definition of instructional materials used in public schools as textbooks, online, supplemental, and library materials. 6, to advocate the alternate authorizers.
I'm sorry, Ms. Colvin.
K-12 public schools.
Your 2 minutes are up. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you.
I want to pause for a moment and reintroduce Senator Rouson. I think that he missed mentioning something about his chairmanship representing Ag. And so, Senator Rouson, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me?
You're recognized. Yes, sir. You're recognized.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. In my haste to get to the speakers, I neglected to mention that the Senate President had appointed me to the chairmanship of the Agriculture Committee. In that regard, agriculture and related services are responsible for 174,000 jobs in Hillsborough County. I look forward to serving my constituent base as well as the state of Florida, identifying food deserts, food insecurities, and animal safety, health programs all come under the Agricultural Committee. Thank you for this opportunity to share that, Madam Chair.
You're welcome, Senator. Thank you. John, let's carry on.
Yes, Madam Chair.
Senator, I don't know if you can hear me now.
Oh, we can. There she is, the elusive Representative Toledo. You're recognized.
I think that I do not have good technology skills, apparently. But someone suggested that I close it out and go back on. So thank you for that. I can't tell who it is, and thank you for this opportunity to speak. It's nice to see most of you, or at least hear from you. We're all in this together, and what you will know, definitely, we have a lot of great leaders in our area fighting for as many resources for our areas. So you're hearing from all the legislators in the Tampa Bay, but there are some others that aren't here, but Senator Simpson and Speaker Sprouse are all going to be fighting for our area. So as bad as it's going to be, rest assured we will be fighting for all of you. So thank you. And I just want to quickly shout out to Jasmine Dixon to talk, who spoke about the vaping epidemic. I've been fighting that epidemic and will continue to fight. So I would love to invite you to Tallahassee to come and share your story. And you are amazing. So keep up the great work. Thanks. It was so nice to see you guys. I'm glad I finally got to speak.
Thank you, Rep. Toledo. And I've watched you for years fight the vaping and lead that charge. So thank you for your leadership on that as well. Thanks. All right, John, let's keep going.
Yes, Madam Chair. Next up, we have Miss Ellen Snelling, who is the board chair for the Hillsborough County Anti-Drug Alliance.
Hi, Ellen.
Good morning. Thanks for the opportunity. I just want to also thank Representative Toledo for helping with all the vaping legislation, and a big shout out to Jasmine. You did a great job, and she's with one of our clubs within the Anti-Drug Alliance. So I'm the board chair of the Hillsborough County Anti-Drug Alliance and a parent of a daughter in recovery. HCADA is a 501c3 nonprofit whose mission is to prevent substance abuse in Hillsborough County. I'm going to speak about two commonly abused drugs, alcohol and marijuana. Today's marijuana is not your daddy's pot. Smokable marijuana contains 25 to 30% THC, 10 times more than 70s pot. It's more addictive and can cause psychosis. Marijuana is a gateway drug that can lead to drug abuse later in life. I know because it happened in my own family. My daughter started using marijuana as a sophomore in high school. She went on to hard drugs, including MDMA, GHB, cocaine, and opioids. Fortunately, she now is in recovery. States that legalize marijuana experience negative outcomes, increased drug driving, ER visits, and child poisonings. Don't let this happen in Florida. Please oppose any bills that would legalize recreational marijuana. Now I'll speak about alcohol. Alcohol is the #1 drug abused by children. Underage drinking associated with impaired driving, crashes, accidental injuries, and alcohol poisoning. We are concerned about making the current emergency order that allows restaurants to sell cocktails to go permanent. The policy was designed to help businesses survive during the pandemic restrictions, but restaurants and bars are now operating in full capacity. Continuing cocktails to go could lead to increased DUI crashes and underage drinking. Allowing restaurants to sell margaritas and solo cups with plastic lids fastened with tape would be a recipe for disaster. Loosening alcohol statutes comes with a price. Our alcohol statistics are already too high. We are #1 in the state for DUI crashes and arrests. According to a 2020 youth survey, Hillsborough County, 1 out of 5 high school students drank alcohol in the past 30 days. So we oppose any policy that could make these statistics worse. Cocktails to go may be popular and convenient, but please consider the negative impacts it could have on public health. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Snelling. John, next.
Next up, we have Miss Michelle Bloom, the Assistant Director for the Guardian Ad Litem Program.
Hi, Michelle.
Hi there. Thank you. And good morning, Chair and members of the delegation. My name is Michelle Bloom, and I'm the Assistant Director for Guardian in the 13th Circuit. As many of you know, Florida statutes require that the court appoint a guardian ad litem for an abused, abandoned, or neglected child at the earliest time in any child abuse proceeding. The GAL program is the organization that provides those guardian ad litems and works for children's best interest. We recruit people in the community and train them to work with our child advocate managers and attorneys to advocate for children in court. We give kids a voice. GALs give reports and recommendations to the judges, and our lawyers advocate at every hearing to protect children's legal interests. Research shows that children who are represented by a volunteer advocate are less likely to return to foster care, have fewer placement changes when in care, do better in school, are more likely to be adopted, and overall spend less time in foster care. Statewide, the Guardian Ad Litem program has over 10,000 volunteers and over 439 pro bono attorneys. In our community, we have over 3,100 children in the dependency system and over 750 outstanding volunteers who selflessly give their time and talents to advocate for children. One such volunteer started the hospital SWAT team this year. She and her team of volunteers visit children in the hospital who have suffered horrific physical abuse or were born substance exposed and are withdrawing. The SWAT team visits and holds these babies every single day until they are released. They are very often the only non-nurse love that these kiddos receive. As part of our statutory mission, we also work to solve systemic problems at the local and state level. This year, we are advocating for statutory change to streamline procedures in adoptions. We are also championing a bill to remove technical barriers for older youth in foster care to go to college or vocational school. We are also seeking funding for additional staff, which is hard to say in this COVID budget, I know, but we recognize the budgetary strain caused by COVID, so our request focuses on those circuits that have experienced the most dramatic increases in children coming into care. We are desperate for your help. We hope you will support these initiatives if they come before you. We would love to be a resource to you and your staff if you have questions or issues with child welfare causes, and we are so grateful for your continued support, and we thank you for this time.
Thank you, Michelle.
Next up, we have Miss Jessica Sams, who is the Gulf Coast Public Policy Manager for the Alzheimer's Association.
Welcome. Good morning. Thanks for having me today. Our appropriations ask will once again be our Brain Bus project. I love speaking to members over in this area because it actually began as a passion project in the Gulf Coast and has since gone statewide. As an association, we really try to provide as many resources and information to the communities that we serve, and the Brain Bus is a big piece of that puzzle for us. And our two legislative asks are also both under the education umbrella, and those revolve around dementia-specific training. You're probably going to hear me and my advocates say that so many times. The first deals with those that work in the long-term care communities that we've heard so much about over this past year. Most of this legislation simply streamlines the dementia-related, dementia-specific training required for those indirectly. But it also, I think it's important to highlight, provides an hour of training for anyone working in these communities. Sometimes interactions with those living with dementia can be intimidating, and I think this would give a growing sense of, or greater sense of competency to anyone in these facilities, but also a greater sense of comfort to caretakers that their loved ones are being cared for by people that have a deeper understanding of dementia and can also handle these interactions with the respect and grace that their loved ones need. And the others is that we have a pretty significant deficit of geriatricians in the state of Florida. So the role and burden of early diagnoses and as well as correct care planning is really falling on the primary care physicians and the nurses. So this legislation would ask that while they are going through their relicensing process, but again, an added element would be dementia-specific training. We believe this would create an army on the front lines across the state that is so desperately needed to meet the growing needs of, unfortunately, this growing community in our state. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next up, we have Mr. Bob Bialis, who is the Executive Vice President of Children Head Start Services with Lutheran Services.
Thank you, Madam Chair and delegates. My name is Bob Bayless. I'm the EVP for Children Head Start Services for Lutheran Services Florida. It's great to see you all. LSF is a nonprofit organization providing services across the state of Florida for children and families in Head Start, substance abuse and mental health, group homes, foster care, refugee and immigration services, adults and elderly services, and victims of natural disasters. Specifically, I'm here to speak about our partnership with Hillsborough County Early Head Start program. So we're a delegate of the county, and we provide services to 120 children in family child care homes and 30 family child care homes. Currently, we have about 117 enrolled. All of the children right now are being served virtually. 57 are Hispanic, 34% are African American, 2% white, and then 7% others. And what I wanted to talk about just briefly is just about our mode of delivery right now for educational services. As some of you know, Head Start is a comprehensive-based program. We not only provide education, but also mental health, medical health, dental services, nutrition, et cetera. And so right now, our childcare providers are making weekly contacts with the families assigned to their sites and using different tools and to provide the curriculum, and then also different partnerships reaching out into the community. What we're truly looking forward to is getting the children back into their classrooms. And we're hoping that through our partnership with the county that we'll be able to open up in maybe even a small scale trial opening after the new year. And so we'll be reaching out to the county for assistance on that. And so I truly appreciate your time and appreciate your service to our community. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next up, we have Mr. Mike Carroll, who is the Executive Vice President of Programs with Lutheran Services.
To Head Start, as Captain Bayless indicated, we also provide behavioral health services, child welfare services, and juvenile justice prevention services, including SINSPIN's residential services. The children and families served through these programs are Florida's most vulnerable folks. We have seen some successes, as the governor pointed out the other day, with regard to achieving the lowest juvenile arrest rate in years in Florida. And Dr. Card spoke of some of the improvements in child welfare right here in the Hillsborough area earlier. However, these successes don't mean that these issues have been solved. We continue to serve these same children and families in juvenile justice prevention programs and in our child welfare programs. The challenges facing these children and their families are increasingly complex. In addition, we now have more children in foster care right here in the Tampa Bay area than anywhere else in the state. The scope and acuity of issues and challenges these children and families face have only been exacerbated due to COVID. Our folks are and have been in the field every day since this panic began. To me, they're heroes in this. As an agency, we've had more than 60 people who have tested positive for COVID, and we have 3 fatalities related to COVID, but the folks still are out in the field working every day. We, as a state, need to ensure these folks continue to have the tools, the policies, and resources in place to continue serving these families in the most effective way we can. We understand the enormous challenge the legislature faces this year with respect to budget. I think most speakers that spoke today referenced some type of budget priority. We're no different. We ask the state do everything it can to ensure adequate funding for child welfare, juvenile justice, and behavioral health services, because quite frankly, these programs are linked and they're absolutely critical to the health and well-being of Florida's most vulnerable children and families. We're not naive enough to think that cuts will not be necessary at some point. However, we ask that if cuts to these programs are contemplated, that the legislature mandate that current equity issues in existing services be a key input in determining how any reduction to services be deployed. It should be noted that in our area—
Mr. Carroll, I'm sorry, your 2 minutes are up.
Okay, thank you. Good luck. God bless the upcoming session.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Next up, we have Mr. Gary Stein, who is the Political Director for Suncoast Normal.
Hi, Gary.
Okay, can you see me now?
Yes, we can. How are you?
Good. Very good. First off, Senator Cruz, I want to thank you very much for refiling that bill that will allow our veterans to get free medical cards. They so desperately need it, and our wounded warriors really do respect the fact that you're pushing forward to make certain that they can get the access to that.
Thank you.
And I also want to congratulate my former representative and friend, Danny Burgess, for now being our senator. I look forward to working with you in that capacity, and congratulations on that. Now, I'm going to go ahead and change my agenda, but I was, as the political director of Suncoast Normal, going to talk about the bills we're working today, but I really have a ethical and moral responsibility to discuss the elephant in the room, which of course is the COVID pandemic, which has affected every single aspect of our lives right now, which you can tell just because of the way we're handling this meeting right here. And it has not been handled properly. It has not been handled in a centralized manner. And we are having a raging pandemic right now. I know the vaccine is here right now, but the vaccine will be like putting out a house fire with a garden hose. It won't be enough. We need to have a robust, centralized contact tracing program in place, not only for Hillsborough County, but also for the state. I actually wrote an article in the Florida Today and Tallahassee Democrat about the fact that we can avoid shutdowns and all the replications of shutdowns if we have a robust contact tracing program in place. What it basically does is we find the people who are infected, we make certain that they get isolated and get all the resources they need to be able to isolate. And when we find out who all their contacts have been, and make certain that they quarantine. Now, by taking these individuals out of the population, we reduce the dose of the virus in the air and make it safer for everybody to open up. Safer for businesses to have more people out there because less people who are infected are out there. There are 4 basic things we have to be concerned about when it comes to possibly getting infected by this virus. Distance of how far away you are from somebody, duration as to how long you are there, density of the population around you, and dose. If we reduce the dose, we reduce
Mr.
the number of
Stein, I'm sorry, your 2 minutes are up.
Thank you very much, Gary.
Next up, we have Mr. Christopher Cano, who is the Executive Director for Suncoast Normal.
Chris Kano, how are you?
Doing well, Senator Cruz. Thank you, senators and representatives, today for allowing me to speak and for hosting this meeting in a safe, socially distanced manner for all of us. I know it'd be kind of tight if we were in a room packed somewhere all together. So I really appreciate you all hosting it in this format. What I do want to speak on today, as Gary had briefly alluded to, is some of the bills that we feel are vital and necessary in the upcoming legislative session in regards to our existing medical marijuana system. For those of you who were in the legislature in 2017, when you enacted Amendment 2, you did a fantastic job of supporting the patients and putting this system and the will of the voters into practice. However, as we have seen time and time again, sometimes legislation needs to be updated, statutes need to be brought into accord. And one of the biggest things that we encounter on a daily basis is the need for a Medical Marijuana Employee Protection Act in the state of Florida. Medical marijuana is now a state-sanctioned medicine. It is recognized by the state as legitimate therapeutic use. And the fact is that people are still being precluded from jobs and losing jobs for being legitimate patients. There have been many high-profile cases you may have seen in the news, but all in all, this is a Disabilities Rights Act. This is a veterans' rights issue. You have veterans and people with disabilities who are trying to live whole and regular lives and want to work. They want to provide for their families. And the fact is, the statutes are just not there to protect them. They're still being precluded from jobs, even though they are legally doing everything right. People denied employment. Now, I'm not saying that every single person, if you read the text of the bill I put in the chat from last year, you can see that there are exceptions for people in sensitive positions, people like firefighters, the people who are mechanics on our school buses and such. But the fact is that, you know, if someone is working in a call center, someone who has a disability, they're working to provide for their families and themselves, and they can still go from a job that, you know, their medical use of cannabis doesn't have any impact on their day-to-day lives at work. I think it's vitally important that we
Mr. Kano,
support this legislation.
I'm sorry, thank you. Your 2 minutes are up.
Thanks, Chris.
I have a question for the gentleman. Sir, thanks for coming here today. I mean, marijuana remains illegal under federal law. We have a lot of folks with security clearances. We have a lot of folks who do business with the government. Aren't they allowed to ensure that their employees are complying with federal law?
So all in all, not every single job in the state of Florida overlaps with the federal government and federal law. Obviously, any laws that you all pass do not exempt the federal laws. And as we can see, you know, the House and the United States representatives have already passed the MORE Act. We'll see what remains next year and what comes out of upcoming federal legislation. But this is strictly to discuss here in the state of Florida and these jobs here in Florida.
Thank you, Chris. Rep, do you have any more questions?
Not at this time, Senator. Thank you.
Very good. John, let's continue on.
Yes, Madam Chair. Next up, we have Mr. James Ransom, who is a board member for TOBA here locally.
Hi, James.
I don't see him here. What we'll do is we'll note that and we'll continue on. Next up, we have Miss Ita Nematoan, and she's the Criminal Conflict and Civil Regional Counsel for the 2nd District.
Ita
Nemoten, sorry. Thank you, Senator Rusan.
Thank you, Senator. Good afternoon, Madam Chair and members. Thank you so much for the opportunity to speak to you today. My name is Ita Nemoten, and I am the Regional Counsel for the 2nd District Court of Appeal. There are 5 regional councils in the state of Florida. We are appointed by the governor and confirmed by the full Florida Senate. My district is the 2nd District, so I have 14 counties that I am in charge of. To break that up into simpler terms, there's about 6 million people in my district and roughly 80 cities. We have around 9,000 cases on any given day. We were created to save taxpayer dollars, and we take about 5% of the public defender's conflicts. We are also first in line for dependency cases. We have also been hit very hard with these budget cuts, and I think, like all of the other agencies, it was not something we were expecting. However, we are doing the best we can. Our legislative priorities are 6 dependency attorneys and 2 forensic social workers. We are proposing a cross-jurisdictional death penalty program to save money for the taxpayers throughout the state of Florida. And we are also asking for CLE in-house education for our attorneys and staff. We found that when we do them in-house, we save a great deal of taxpayer dollars, and our attorneys have CLE credits, which they need to practice. So thank you for your time. Happy holidays. And I look forward to working with all of you on these issues in Tallahassee.
Thank you. Happy holidays to you as well.
Thank you.
Next up, we have Miss Naima Sekirimi, and she's a student, and she is also a member of the Hillsborough County Anti-Drug Alliance.
Welcome.
Naima. The school I attend is Tampa Bay Tech. I'm a junior. I'm in the SWAT in the university area at CDC. I joined SWAT because it was free and you get to learn a lot of information about what causes people my age with health problems, which is tobacco. What is vaping? It's an electronic cigarette that simulates tobacco smoking. Where can you get your vape? You can get your vape from your friends, online, and stores. Why do people vape? The reason people vape is because they're quitting smoking. It was designed to help smokers, but high schoolers and middle schoolers see their friends use it on social media and they need to try it to fit in. They want to seem cool with the whole crowd. It attracts teenagers because all the flavors, and then they become addictive. There are effects that happen when using a vape, which is causing diseases in the small airway of the lungs and heart problems. Studies have recently shown vaping is more dangerous than a regular cigarette. There's been 60 deaths this year from vaping. I think those deaths could have been prevented if they banned vaping. I think vaping is not a toy to play with because it can take your precious life in a minute. It is sad in this world they will sell you stuff that will end up killing you just because they make money. They should have used another way to help smokers quit because it causes a problem in teenagers now. There's another reason I'm in SWAT to make a difference in my generation and the upcoming. Thank you for listening. Have a great day.
Thank you so much for being here. That was wonderful. We appreciate you.
Next up, we have Mr. Matt Floyd, who is Government Relations with Port Tampa Bay.
Hi, Matt. How are you?
Matt, we can't hear you. Maybe try unplug your headphones.
How about now?
Perfect.
Okay, sorry about that. My name is Matt Floyd. I'm the Government Relations and Special Projects Manager at Port Tampa Bay. Thank you for having me this morning. I just want to briefly introduce you to the port and offer an open invitation to any of you to come see us and learn more about us in person. Port Tampa Bay is the state's largest and most diverse port of entry. We are responsible for 80 to 85,000 direct and indirect jobs. We also have a $17 billion economic impact on the region. As I mentioned, we are the state's most diverse port. So we bring in anything from fruits, vegetables, juice, steel, concrete, sand, steel, lumber. I mean, anything you can think of, it probably comes through our port. And we're very proud of that. We are also responsible for supplying roughly 47% of the state's fuel with dedicated pipelines to Tampa International Airport, as well as the airports out in Orlando. We also are a top 10 U.S. cruise port We experienced over 1 million cruise passengers annually, and we saw that continue to climb and expected to continue to climb prior to the COVID pandemic. And hopefully soon we will see a return to cruising in Tampa Bay. I think the largest and fastest growing area of business for us that we are very, very proud of is over the last couple of years, we now are a port of call for several of the world's largest and most influential direct from Asia container service lines. These are the extremely large ships you might have seen coming in under the bridge, the Skyway Bridge. Recently, these ships come in direct from China. They go through the Panama Canal up into the Gulf and drop off containers in Houston, New Orleans, Mobile, and then come down to us before returning to Asia. We're also seeing that business grow in services from Latin America to America as well, opening up another trade gateway to the state. So these are things we're very... Okay.
Go ahead, sir.
We're just very proud of that, and we'd love to extend an open invitation to any of you and all of you to come see us soon. Thank you.
Thank you, Matt. It's good to see you.
Next up, we have Miss Tracy Zuluaga.
Well, I'm very impressed with the way you're pronouncing these names, John. I appreciate that.
I'm trying. So Tracy still looking. Oh, here she is, I think that's her audio.
I've been trying to unmute her. I think she might be having some feedback issues. Tracy, if you want to leave and try and come back. I think she left, so maybe she'll come back later and you can get to her later.
We'll continue on and try and go back to her. So we have Miss Brooke Arrett, who is a Florida organizer for Food and Water Action.
Hi, good morning. Like you said, my name is Brooke Arrett. I'm the senior Florida organizer with Food and Water Watch, Food and Water Action. We have over 5,000 members here in Hillsborough County. And also, the main thing I'm coming to talk to you about today is through our work with the Tampa Bay Climate Alliance, which is over 30 organizations in the Tampa Bay region. We've been working to move the city of Tampa and Hillsborough County to 100% clean renewable energy from wind, solar, and tidal sources by the year 2030. Also, along with that, increasing energy efficiency across the county and banning any new fossil fuel infrastructure. As we've seen, there's an undue energy burden that's become made very evident during this pandemic that would be alleviated. Also, threats to public health, to our tourism-based economy could be alleviated by moving off of fossil fuels. And additionally, we'd be bringing jobs to our region instead of sending them out of state. Fossil fuel jobs are in other states where oil drilling is very prevalent. We could bring solar jobs here to our region and help our economy. And so what I'm asking for you is support similar legislation on the state level. Encourage Governor DeSantis to stop utility shutoffs to alleviate the energy burden. Support the power purchase agreement legislation to make it easier for solar to be available to all regions. And then also bring back money to Tampa and Hillsborough to help with the infrastructure that will be necessary to move this forward. And the transition of transportation to 100% clean electric, we could also use those funds as well. And finally, if you could just let Mayor Castor, the Tampa City Council, and the Hillsborough County Commission know that you are supporting this move to 100% clean renewable energy by 2030, and that you will be advocating for their program's success. Thank you so much, and I hope you all have a blessed holiday season.
Thank you very much, Brooke. It's good to see you. Happy holidays to you as well.
Okay, we'll try and pick back up with Miss Tracy Zuluaga, if she's here now.
I don't think she made it back into the meeting yet, but I'll keep an eye on when she returns and let you know.
No worries. Let's try and see if Mr. James Ransom is back in. He's a board member with the Tampa Organization of Black Affairs. Mr. Ransom, if you're here.
I don't see him in here either, but I'll let you know if he joins.
No worries. We'll continue on. So 31 is Mr. Blake Smith, who is a student and also a member of the Hillsborough County Anti-Drug Alliance.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you so much for having me on. My name is Blake Smith. Like Mr. Learn mentioned, I am 16 years old. I go to Sun Lake High, and I'm with the Hillsborough County Anti-Drug Alliance and the YMAT and SWAT Hillsborough programs, and I'd like to tell you a little bit about my experiences with them. Chronologically, I was forced into the programs because my mother runs both of them in affiliation with her dance company. So I kind of reluctantly joined back in 7th grade. As I said, I am a junior now. But to my surprise, over 4 years, I learned one heck of a lot about learning to have fun alongside my peers without mind-altering substances. And through those programs, like I mentioned before, we were able to connect through holiday parties, which we'd have every year, despite, this year we can't really have it, but nevertheless, we've had community get-togethers as well as community service projects like the Martin Luther King Parade. We'd march alongside SWAT, and all the while having fun without drugs or without vaping. And we all got to learn how to have fun and enjoy ourselves without that. And most recently, myself, alongside a few of my associates and peers, worked with the Talk They Hear You campaign, as well as the In It to Win It campaign, in which we were in a commercial through NBC with the NFL, in which the commercial entailed notoriety and spreading awareness of underage drinking. So through these programs, we've gotten to spread so much good, and I'm truly lucky to say I've been a part of it. So with that being said, I'd like to thank Ellen, who talked beforehand, as well as Cindy Grant, who I've been associated with, and I'd like to thank all of you for your time and services and continued funding. Have a happy holiday season, and stay safe.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that you're here.
Pleasure to be here. Thank you very much.
Next up, we have Miss Teresa Miller, who is with Embrace Life 911.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. What an impressive young man. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. First and foremost, myself and many other pro-life constituents desperately want the heartbeat bill to pass this session. We need to save these babies and help them lead the life God planned for them and protect their mothers and fathers from the devastating mental and physical after effects of having an abortion. In reference to marijuana legalization, for any reason, I've said since 2012, putting a medical label on a bag of pot does not make it a medicine. Legalizing it for any reason will continue to devastate our community, particularly teens whose brains are not fully developed. Marijuana brings false hope as a medicine, and the cultural promotion as a safe drug makes it extremely popular. It is often the beginning of a downward spiral in life, especially for our youth. We need to protect them and their families. Please fund the anti-drug coalitions to help prevent abuse and addiction. In reference to the lockdowns, I would like to thank the governor and all who support him for his ability to analyze the data and use common sense approach for protecting the vulnerable, especially our elderly population, while allowing others who are not vulnerable to begin to lead a normal life, or as much as possible. Because of his policies, many of Floridians are back to work and thriving. Personally, my family was blessed. We did not experience the financial and mental health issues that many families underwent during the lockdowns. However, I've never been a self-centered person to believe that if it doesn't impact me, I shouldn't care about it. Actually, quite the opposite is true. So let's remember the lockdowns had many overwhelming outcomes, such as skyrocketing unemployment, homelessness, the permanent closing of many large and small businesses. Yet, it is the unintended consequences that have truly devastated our community. That is the increase of drug overdoses, suicide rates, and other mental health issues such as depression and anxiety. The overdose rate before the lockdown was already on a rise, about 15% higher in 2019 than 2018.
Miss Miller, I'm sorry, your 2 minutes are up.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, ma'am, thank you. Next up, we have Miss Susan Nicely.
Right, exactly.
John, I don't see her in the meeting currently, but I'll let you know if she pops in.
Okay, no worries. We'll continue on. We have Miss Haley Bush, who's with 1000 Friends Florida.
Good afternoon, Senators. My name is Haley Bush, and I work for 1000 Friends of Florida, a statewide smart growth organization. We advocate for our state's most valuable assets, our environment, agricultural lands, economy, and quality of life by promoting sustainable and thoughtful growth and development. Last month, the Demographic Estimating Conference released their new population growth estimates, showing that Florida is currently growing by an average of 830 new residents per day, equivalent to adding a population the size of Orlando to Florida each year. These new residents certainly help boost our economy, but they also strain our existing infrastructure and stress our natural lands and water resources. So with Florida facing a large revenue gap this year due to the pandemic, 1000 Friends believes there's a path forward enacting policies that are fiscally responsible, do not sacrifice the environment or our quality of life, and account for the long-term growth trends Florida faces. During the upcoming session, we hope you will sponsor or support legislation to protect Florida's environment and budget by critically assessing the MCOR's toll road proposal, which would draw funds away from other more urgent projects across the state. Legislation should suspend or curtail funding for the MCOR's project in light of Florida's projected revenue shortfalls. 1000 Friends, our organization, is working on draft legislation I'd be happy to share with your offices. We also hope you will enact stronger measures to protect Florida's natural and agricultural lands, waterways, and our drinking water by funding Florida Forever and reinstating bonding authority for this program to maximize its impact. We are also seeking a sponsor of legislation to restore citizens' planning rights while preventing frivolous lawsuits. So this would mean amending a bill from the 2019 legislative session to restore citizens' rights to file well-founded challenges without fear of financial ruin. Again, we have draft legislation for that one that I'd be happy to share with your offices. I've submitted more details on each of these points to the organizers of today's delegation meeting. I'd be happy to send those along, and 1000 Friends of Florida stands ready to be of assistance in working towards these goals. Thank you for your leadership. Congratulations to the new members. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next up, we have Miss Jennifer Wilson.
John, I don't see her in the meeting, but I will let you know if she comes in.
Okay, thank you. Next up, we'll continue on. Mr. Dan Saraki, President of Suncoast League of Cities.
Thank you. Thank you, Senator Chairman Cruz, and thank you all, everyone, for all of your leadership. I appreciate everything. I am Dan Saraki, council member of the city of Oldsmar. I'm also the president of the Suncoast League of Cities, and we support all municipalities in Pasco, Pinellas, and Hillsborough County. Suncoast League of Cities has 3 legislative priorities for the 2021 session. Number 1, e-fairness. The Suncoast League of Cities supports legislation to update Florida's remote sales and use sales tax collection process for online e-commerce sales from out-of-state retailers. Remember, this is not a new tax. Sales tax is already due from the buyer. Any new revenue raised from an amended e-fairness collection policy would bring additional revenue to the state to help education and our local governments. Number 2, resiliency and sustainability. The Suncoast League of Cities supports legislation that enables intergovernmental coordination and planning for coastal resiliency and sea level rise strategies, local authority to implement natural resource protection and water quality improvements. Number 3, cybersecurity. The Suncoast League of Cities supports legislation that provides cybersecurity support to local government for development and enhancement of employee training, infrastructure grants, and technical assistance to include threat assessment, ransomware training, and data protection from exempt and confidential information. Cyber Florida at USF would be an entity to provide support to the local government through the Florida Department of Management Services. Last, Happy Hanukkah, Merry Christmas, and Happy Holidays to all. But most of all, let's get this year over. Happy New Year, and thank you again for your leadership and your support.
Thank you, Dan.
Next up, we have Miss Mara Lands.
I don't see her in the meeting, but I'll let you know if she comes in.
Will do. We'll continue on. We have Mr. Dale Vanderwerf.
Hi, this is Dale Vanderwerf.
Oh, my apologies.
It's all right. Happens all the time. I am the COO of Phoenix House, Florida. I appreciate the opportunity to speak today. Phoenix House, Florida, if you don't know, is a nonprofit that's been in our local community for about 25 years. Our mission is to provide adult and adolescent outpatient residential substance use treatment to those in need in our community. We're proud to be a part of this longevity in our community and hope for many more years. Currently, there are many challenges faced by those in need of our services in all of our communities around substance use and mental health. Given the current climate and with the COVID situation, we're seeing the mental health acuity and the number of overdoses continue to increase, resulting in our communities being in a significant crisis and our emergency rooms being heavily impacted. Meeting with medical examiner offices to evaluate this impact and the status of overdoses is something that we would suggest so that the need can be addressed and we can all work together to address these needs. Many of the agencies are facing financial distress. Some of them will not make it to the other side of COVID. So treatment center census have dropped significantly and are facing funding cuts this year and next year, impacting our financial stability. We're all very concerned about the beds not being filled, and referrals for treatment have dropped significantly, especially in our courts, with the closures and the decline in arrest in some areas and 50% declines. And this is a really serious concern for many of us in meeting the needs of those that really need it for substance use and mental health. We're anticipating a huge impact of substance use and mental health treatment needs and referrals post-COVID, and our community needs to be prepared to address those needs. We just ask that you fight on our behalf. We need to be there for our communities on the other side of this crisis. Thank you so much for your support and happy holidays.
Thank you. Same to you.
Madam Chair. Madam Chair,
Yes. Yes, Senator.
may I ask a question?
Absolutely. You're recognized.
Ms. Vanderwerf, did you leave?
No, I'm here.
Okay, are you one of the providers for Central Florida Behavioral Health Network?
Yes, sir.
And have you been getting partial payment advanced to you under the 1/12 plan?
Yes.
Okay. But you need more.
Yes, yes. There is a constant need, and we anticipate the need to continue to grow, particularly with the Central Florida funding. There's a lot of folks that don't have insurance, are homeless, and that funding is really crucial for us to continue to meet their needs.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair.
You're welcome, Senator.
Next up, we have Nehemiah Hewley, a student at Burnett Middle School.
Welcome.
I don't see her in the meeting, but I'll let you know if she pops in.
Will
Sounds
do.
good.
Next up, we have Miss Misty Winter.
Good morning.
Morning.
Good morning. Yeah, it's 11:59, 1 minute until afternoon. Thank you for your time and for your service. I'm joining you in regards to the heartbeat bill. Many of you might be familiar with it. And I've experienced something very personal in my life, and it's really opened my eyes to this issue. So you're probably going to be hearing more from me in the coming year. But my hope is to resuscitate this bill in the coming year. And this bill requires a physician to perform an examination for and inform a woman obtaining an abortion of the presence of a detectable fetal heartbeat. So this bill would require the physician to review the results of the examination with the patient before the woman gives her informed consent for the abortion procedure. And in addition, this bill would require that a woman who declines the review certify in writing that she did so of her own free will. So that's pretty much it. As leaders in our community, it's pretty vital that individuals be properly informed prior to a life-altering procedure. And thank you so much for your time. And may God
Thank you, Missy. Happy holidays to you.
Thank you.
Next up, we have Mr. Javon Franks, who is an organizer with SEIU.
Hello?
Yes, we can hear you.
Thank you. I work with adjunct professors at our state colleges and universities who have all the same credentials and in even some cases even more than full-time faculty. You're sitting around the table for a big holiday meal with all your extended family. Your child is just one semester away from graduating with their bachelor's when somebody asks them, "What are you going to do after graduation?" They say, "I want to go on to get my PhD so I can be a college professor." You smile because you know getting a master's and a PhD, teaching at one of Florida's colleges and universities is a great career that can be personally fulfilling and provide a comfortable life. The fact is your child is in for a rude awakening when they find out the vast majority of teaching positions in higher education are now filled by adjunct professors who make less than minimum wage, even at $15 an hour. Can you imagine going to your child's PhD graduation and then having them come back home to live with you? Schools pay as little as $2,000 to an adjunct for teaching an entire class for a semester, and full-time positions are disappearing because they don't get enough money from the legislature. And adjunct professors don't even get Social Security payments because of legislative loopholes. Our members are engineers, mathematicians. They are teaching ethics and theology, nursing and biology, preparing Florida's workforce. Literally, in the next few days, every single adjunct at every school in Florida is about to be fired with no idea if they'll have jobs in January. Maintaining the funding at our colleges and universities would be nice, but the right thing to do is to build a plan to increase funding at our higher education institutions so that Florida can continue to be the best place to work, live, play, and do business.
Thank you, Javon. I've heard this story and this issue before, and it's something that we're working on. I'm not sure that this is the year, given budget constraints, that we can tackle this, but I want you to know that there are many of us that agree with what you're saying.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Next up, we have Miss Leanne Klum, who is the LGBTQ liaison with the HCC, PTA, and PTSA.
Hi, Leanne.
Hello, can you see me and hear me?
I can hear you.
All right, I've got video going. All right, so I don't know why the video isn't showing, but do you mind if I just keep right on rocking and rolling here? Just to hear the audio? Okay.
Please do.
Okay, great. So Florida's not doing enough for its LGBTQ students, not enough to make them feel safe at school and keep them in school. And the COVID crisis, like for many of our marginalized youth, has been that much more difficult. We know through data that approximately 20% of our student population identifies as LGBTQ, lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer, and questioning. The Florida YRBS data shows that LGBTQ students were 2 to 4 times more likely than their straight peers to experience everything from being bullied at school, being suicidal, being raped, and to not attending school because they felt unsafe. The Trevor Project, a national crisis hotline for these youth, reports that since the start of quarantine, the calls to its hotline have more than doubled. Many LGBTQ youth cannot be safely out at home. For many, the only place they can be their true selves is at school. With some quarantined at home with unaccepting families, they are in danger. At school, they can turn to a few understanding teachers, friends, and their GSA club, and that is gone now for some. That brings me to the most important information I will share. Being LGBTQ is not a choice. Like my transgender son once said, "Mom, no one would choose this life." Think of the statistics I gave. And yet there are people who want to block support for these children. School districts and politicians across the state are being bullied by a very vocal minority. And that's my ask. You cannot be cowed by fear and misunderstanding. The state needs to send a consistent message that it cherishes all students. This is done with policies that make schools safe and welcoming, and simple things like allowing transgender youth to use the bathrooms to which they identify. We all win when every child succeeds in school, and it costs nothing. And please know, it can be very dangerous to out a child to their parents. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for your comments. We appreciate you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Next up, we have Mr. David Jones, who is who's with the Tampa Bay Community Action Committee.
I don't see him in the meeting. I'm sorry, Chair.
I said, is David there?
I don't see him in here, but I'll let John know if he comes in.
Well, let's move forward then.
Next up is Miss Marissa Bodden.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Hello, Marissa.
Okay, hi. Today I wanted to talk about 5G and I have a few slides to share. I'll try to squeeze it in 2 minutes. The first one I have is an information sheet. If you can see it, 3G and 4G were already giving off radiation from the towers, but 5G is a very different version. It's actually a military grade weapon that uses microwave radiation. So we are literally getting fried by this. And there are a number of adverse health effects associated with 5G, such as headaches, postnasal drips, sore throat, memory loss, tinnitus, and even cancer. We already had these effects from the regular cell phone towers, but this is just amplified. So it's very bad for our health, and we're already doing things for our COVID safety, but these things are already happening and giving us the same symptoms, and we're not being protected from them. So another thing I have is there are multiple lawsuits regarding this, these 5G towers. Can you see the next article that I brought up?
It's dark, Marissa.
Oh, okay, let me see if I can get it up there.
Marissa, you can always send it to my email, the email you signed up with, and I can distribute it to the delegation along with all the other materials that speakers have provided us.
Okay, so I have some articles where cell phone towers were removed after children got cancer when the cell phone towers were placed next to the schools. And then I have multiple articles where city councils and town councils denied the installation of 5G, but Tampa has actually allowed it. And I was going to show a picture of a couple small cells that they placed outside of Raymond James Stadium. We also have,
I'm sorry, Miss Bodden, your time is up.
Okay.
2 minutes.
Thank you, Marissa. Thank you for coming out and working on this. We'll distribute your information. Happy holidays to you.
Thank you, too.
Next up, we have Miss Sharon Calvert.
Keep going, John.
Hello.
Oh, there she is. Hey, Sharon.
Hi, how are you?
Good.
Thank you for the opportunity to speak. Regarding Florida Statute 212-055, I ask for your support to make the following changes. Requirement for a supermajority for passage, a legal review before any local tax referendum may be put on the ballot, as well as more clarity in Section 11 performance audit regarding the definition of the program that must be audited and require all government entities or agencies receiving the surtax funds be included in the performance audit. Regarding Section 1 of the statute governing local transportation sales tax referendums, I ask your support to reduce the time frame the tax may be levied to 10 to 15 years. Regarding implementation of any lane elimination or road diets, I ask your support for action to require a public hearing be held in every jurisdiction where the lane elimination would occur to ensure the general public and those most affected by any lane elimination are provided an opportunity to be heard and weigh in. I-275 is a strategic state, regional, and local transportation asset that tens of thousands of residents, businesses, and tourists use daily and is a strategic regional evacuation route. Safety improvements and expansion of 275 and fixing malfunction junction has been planned for decades. and the regional TMA supports these improvements. That's funded by state and federal taxes we've already paid. I also ask that you consider transportation paradigm shifts resulting from the pandemic that could be long-lasting or permanent. Thank you for consideration.
Thank you, Sharon. Happy holidays to you.
Thank you.
Next up, we have Mr. Philip Compton, a senior organizing rep with Sierra Club, Florida.
Hi, Phil. How are you?
Hi, great. Good afternoon. I want to talk a minute about clean energy and what we need to do. It's very important to Sierra Club and to a lot of folks in the state that we transition to 100% renewable energy statewide before 2050, with renewable energy used 100% for all state-funded operations by 2035. We need to update our greenhouse gas emissions baseline. We need to cut our greenhouse gas emissions by 25% by 2035 and ensure an equitable climate adaptation. One big point that we need to work on, and the counties and the cities need help, reducing energy use by increasing funding to low-income residential energy efficiency programs. We have a lot of people in our state and our county who are at risk of losing their power because they can't keep up with their power bill in this COVID-19 economic crisis. And those people need help. We're wasting energy, we're wasting money, and people are being hurt. Also, there's a transition to electric vehicles, and Jeff Brandes has a bill which has some good aspects to it. It would be charge a $135 fee for EV owners and $50 for hybrid owners. And that money would go in a good way to building EV infrastructure. But the fact that people who buy a new EV that costs $50,000 or a used EV that costs $5,000 would pay the same $135 would be a disincentive to the low-income people who can now afford to buy an EV, which would be a wonderful thing for them because they don't cost much to maintain. They're very reliable. The fuel cost is very low. But adding what seems like maybe a nominal cost to someone who doesn't have a lot of money is something that is inequitable. We need to have an income-based challenge for that sort of a fee and have a waiver, as some states have with this sort of a fee. So I appreciate if you work with Senator Brandes to ensure that doing such a fee for EV owners helps to for more people to adopt this kind of transportation for their personal use, which of course is much more important here than some other states because everybody has to drive a car, don't they? Thank you so much for your time.
Do. Thank you, Philip, and thank you for your advocacy in our community. You're a wonderful person. Happy holidays to you.
Happy holidays, Senator. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Next up, we have Ms. Tina Swain, who is the CEO for Habitat for Humanity of Hillsborough County.
Are you able to hear me?
Yes, we are, Tina. Welcome.
Thank you. Habitat Hillsborough is one of over 50 Habitat for Humanity affiliates in the state of Florida. And I'd love to speak about the work that we do locally, but today I want to talk about Habitat for Humanity affiliates in all of Florida. If you ask yourself what is one of the best investments that the Florida legislature can make this year and every year, an investment in affordable housing programs, because housing programs such as Florida State Housing Initiatives Partnership, otherwise known as SHIP, or the Sadowski Trust Fund, it provides jobs for local purchasing of materials and returns property tax revenue to the local economy. To date, Habitat affiliates in Florida have built, rehabbed, and repaired more than 22,000 homes, and Habitat homeowners in Florida now pay more than $12 million in property taxes annually. At Habitat Hillsborough, we're going to build 30 homes and do 30 repairs this year. One reason why Habitat is a good investment for the state of Florida is the fact that we leverage every dollar we receive through the addition of private donations and volunteer support. A case in point, in 2015, the Habitat Florida affiliates turned $20 million in funding from the state mortgage settlement funds into $80 million of market rate housing by putting 350 homes into service. We're joining with the National Habitat for Humanity campaign to address the fact that the cost of home is too high. 1 in every 6 households in Florida pays more than 50% of their income for their housing. It's not affordable and sets families up for failure, leaving them to make decisions that forgo health care, food, and other necessities. Families who buy Habitat homes pay a truly affordable mortgage that costs no more than 30% of their income. The typical home we build here in Hillsborough County has a mortgage payment of about $800, and that includes their taxes and insurance. And in many cases, this is much less than rent. This allows families to build wealth and not live in substandard conditions. We must be intentional about solving this problem. Market forces will not naturally create affordable homes for our citizens. Because Habitat homes are not given away, the mortgage payments created by the building of the home are used to build even more homes. So this means even more leverage for every state dollar that's made available. So we ask that you
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
You're closing.
We ask that you continue to appropriate the Housing Trust Fund monies for the specific use of housing. In some years, many or all of the trust dollars have been swept to the general fund, and we just ask for your support to use those trust fund dollars solely for housing. Thank you.
You're welcome. Members, anyone have any comments? If not, then John will go on to the next.
Yes, Madam Chair. Next, we have Mr. Keith Jacobs, who's with Step Up for Students.
Hello.
Hi, Keith.
Hi, Senator Cruz. Thank you, delegation, for the opportunity. I'm Keith Jacobs from Step Up for Students. Foregoing the rest of my time, I brought two families to share a really quick story with you all about the importance of supporting our scholarships. So I'm going to hand it over to Tatiana. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Senator Cruz. Thank you for your time.
How are you?
My name is Tatiana. I'm doing well, thank you. My name is Tatiana Cox Lopez. I live in the district of Senator Hopper and Representative Coster. COVID-19 has forced me and my husband to make many, many sacrifices in order to put food on the table and stay afloat. One thing that we're extremely grateful for is not having to sacrifice our daughter's education, thanks to the Family Empowerment Scholarship. Our daughter Annalise is in her first grade, and she's in the first year at Espiritu Santo Catholic School. She absolutely loves it. Even with all the changes that she has faced in the pandemic, the new school, she is very, very happy to return to school. The staff has done a wonderful job in making sure that she's comfortable and fitting in. And we could not afford to send Annalise to this terrific school if it wasn't for the Family Empowerment Scholarship. So we want to thank you. We want to thank Step Up and everybody that advocates for families, hardworking families like us that simply can't afford to sacrifice our daughter's education.
Thank you very much.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Jennifer Trujillo, and I live in Senator Rouson and Representative Rayner's districts. I have twin sons, Kingsley and Leonardo, in the third grade who attend St. John Vianney Catholic School on the Florida Tax Credit Scholarship. Leonardo is dyslexic, and at his previous zone school, he not only struggled academically, but also socially because of it. At St. John Vianney, Leonardo benefits from the extra individual attention and support that comes with smaller classrooms. The teachers and support staff go above and beyond to help him and our family. In fact, it feels like an extension of our family. Thanks to the opportunity provided by the tax credit scholarship to attend the school of our choice that best fits our needs, both my sons have become academically successful, emotionally secure, and socially confident. So we thank you all for your time, and we thank Step Up for Students for this opportunity.
Thank you for being here.
Next up, we have Dr. Mark Castricone with SEIU.
Hey, thank you for the introduction. First off, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. First of all, I'd like to thank all of you for having me here. I am one of the part-time instructional faculty members at Hillsborough Community College and occasionally at USF and also once at Polytechnic. I am the person who made a PhD. I've been working pretty much my entire life to get here. I'm over $100,000 in debt, and I make less than minimum wage if I teach the full load of classes during the fall and the spring semester. The part-time instructional staff at all of the colleges in Florida teach the majority of classes. At Hillsborough Community College, we teach nearly half of all the classes. Nearly half of all the classes are taught by people who are not making or making basically minimum wage. We have people that are single mothers that teach, that have multiple children. I have a friend of mine who has that going on, and she's taking care of her husband with cancer and isn't working this term because she can't afford to. We don't get sick pay. We don't have proper benefits. We don't have health care. And we are a vital part. I'd like to echo Javan and also Dr. Atwater in saying that we provide a vital, important role in the community for educating people to make $40,000 a year jobs, to help with all the different community advancement that we have. And we, are routinely given very little money, and we're not allowed sick days. And we provide the major service or product or whatever you want to call it for these community colleges, as well as just regular colleges that are state funded. This is just ridiculous that we're not getting paid a living wage. Most of us, or a lot of us, are on welfare, or some of us are on Social Security and are trying to make ends meet with not enough Social Security money. And one of our people that actually does statistics made a statistical chart showing that since the 90s, we actually make less money due to inflation than we did in the 90s. We literally are being paid less money than we were decades ago because of that. I just want money earmarked for part-time instructional faculty at our colleges, because if you don't earmark it for the part-time instructional faculty, it goes everywhere else. They have money for commercials on TV, the internet, and everywhere else. They have money for beautification of the campus. They have money for—
Dr. Castry-Cohn, I'm sorry, your 2 minutes are up.
We just want money for the part-time instructional faculty to be marked out for us. Thank you. And possibly sick days. It's a pandemic.
Thank you.
Next up, we have Ms. Lauret Phillipson.
Good afternoon. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, we can.
Okay, thank you. Good morning. My name is Lauret Phillipson, and I'm a voting resident of Florida. I would like to see in the 2021 legislation efforts focused on criminal justice reform. I'm asking one of the people on this panel to sponsor and support a Citizens Collaborative Board bill. Trained advocates need to be included and authorized to visit at their pleasure at state correctional institutions. The creation and maintenance of a prison advisory board consists of board members and trained volunteers in various regions who are not employees of the state correctional institutions and shall provide ongoing communication, support, advice, and best practices to said agency while monitoring the treatment of the incarcerated individuals and addressing any matters of concern. Further, the advisory board members and trained volunteers shall provide support and assistance in person by telephone or privileged mail to incarcerated individuals on CM 1, 2, and 3, administrative confinement, disciplinary confinement, and/or protective management status. In order for the agency to be truly transparent, vital information and advocacy are enhanced by regular communications and discussions with prison administrators. While a sizable number of issues of abuse and neglect, board members and trained volunteers are needed to advocate for the fair and humane treatment of incarcerated people. These issues and concerns raised by prisoners' families and friends need to be addressed. I spent 8.5 years at Lowell Correctional, and the abuse and neglect I witnessed firsthand needs to change, and the first step towards this is with a Citizens Collaborative Board. I urge you to support and sponsor such a bill. Thank you. My name is Lauret Phillipson, and I am a voting resident in Florida.
Good afternoon. This is Rep. Hart. Ms. Lauret?
Yes, Ms. Hart,
I
how are you?
actually have the bill in bill drafting.
Wow, look at that.
Out to some of my other members to see what we can do to try and get this bill passed. We did put that bill in last year. We didn't get any traction. I'm going back for it again this year. I do believe that that is critical, that we have a citizens review type of a board, same as we do for our police department around the state of Florida.
Thank you.
I'm here in the city. So know that I've already started working on the bill. So
Can we get a senator on the panel to co-sponsor the bill?
I don't know.
Hello?
I'll reach out to my senators.
Well, we have a few on the panel right now. Anybody want to commit?
Right, this is not the time to ask for a commitment until every senator has read the bill. It certainly sounds very good, but we'll talk to Rep. Hart about that.
Thank you.
All right, next up is former City Council person Lisa Monteleon, and I'm going to ask ask her to do the impossible, which is keep her statements at 2 minutes. How about that, Lisa?
That is exactly why I have written out my statement so I can read really fast.
You know I love you.
Good afternoon, Senator Cruz, Senator Roussan, and honorable members of the delegation. Thank you for your service to the community and for listening to us today. I am Lisa Monteleone, here as one of 2 board members of Northside Behavioral Health Care authorized to speak on behalf of the Board of Directors by vote at our last meeting. My comments were submitted with my application to speak, but I will deviate from that statement slightly since I've heard the governor and first lady speak in Tampa this morning. The governor announced that $23 million in CARES Act funding will be utilized in the state to expand community-based mental health services. While this funding allocation is welcome, it is not sustainable. I implore each of you not to allow this funding to replace our budget funding allocations. CARES Act funded programs will not continue once we run out of CARES Act funds. Representative Toledo, thank you, if you're still on the call, for always supporting Northside and for presenting us and a program partner with an $800,000 big check from the state of Florida this past August. As you may know, Florida is ranked 48th in the country for access to services according to Mental Health America. It is anticipated that the number of residents in our county will increase exponentially. It will require more individuals to staff expanded services, something that was in part addressed in Senator Roussan's Senate Bill 704, which unfortunately died in committee last session. It would have developed a training program for peer specialists, something that Clara Reynolds of the Crisis Center termed the secret sauce during today's press conference. Thank you for your time and your dedication to our residents, and I invite all of you to come take a tour of Northside Behavioral Health Care, and happy holidays to everyone.
Same to you, Lisa. Take care. You did great. Actually, I think you're under.
First.
Madam Chair. Madam Chair.
Senator.
Thank you very much. Lisa, I want you to know that I have refiled that bill. I have it in bill drafting, and I'm in discussion trying to locate a House member that would sign on to it, but we're going to come. Oh, we got a volunteer.
I think Ms. Hart has her hand. Representative Hart, thank you very much for that. And Senator Roussan, it's vital that we have more people trained to help others than we currently have.
Well, as they say in the program of recovery, the therapeutic value of one addict helping another is without parallel.
That's wonderful.
Glad to do it. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator, and thank you, Rep. Hart, for offering so expeditiously to sponsor the bill in the House. I think we're going to make Lorette a little jealous that we that we did that so quickly. All right, John, let's keep going.
Yes, Madam Chair. Next up, we have Mr. Rob Crete, President for the Hillsborough Classroom Teachers Association.
Hi, Rob.
Hey, how are you, Senator Cruz? And thank you for having me today. I too can name that tune in less than 2 minutes, so let me get going. Hey, my name is Rob Crete, and I'm the very proud president here at the Hillsborough Classroom Teachers Association, and also a career Hillsborough County educator. As educators, we are deeply committed to the success of every student. Every student. Students are at the center of everything that we do. We believe that we must ensure that our kids are prepared for the well-paying jobs of tomorrow, and to accomplish this, we must have a world-class public education system in Florida. 2020 was deemed the year of the teacher, well, pre-COVID at least, and we saw a tiny glimpse of what prioritizing educators could look like. Thank you all for recognizing that bonuses do not work. By eliminating failed bonus schemes and investing state funding in salaries, you are helping move Florida educator salaries out of the bottom 5 of the nation finally. And we soundly appreciate the commitment for your leadership that the funds appropriated last year were a first step and not a first-time offer. Yet these funds allocated were mostly for early career educators. We must be able to recruit new teachers and bring up the starting salary, but our experienced teachers also need incentives to stay. After all, our experienced teachers support our new teachers, and research shows that they have higher effectiveness with our students and with our newer teachers, with our experienced educators in Florida. As you consider education policy this session, we suggest that you look at 2 statutory approaches to help mitigating to help mitigate the growing number of unfilled teaching positions. First, provide flexibility to use new and existing funding for teacher salaries to meet local needs. And second, permit school districts to offer extended contracts to our proven, experienced teachers. Thank you very much. Be safe and happy holidays, everyone.
Thank you, Rob. And I do want to mention that I received a text, I believe it was yesterday, from a teacher, I think, that's been teaching 2 years, and she sent me a copy of her pay stub and basically said, "Yay, I got a raise." And I said, "How much was it?" She said, "It's an additional $4 an hour." But she said that she was going from 40,000 to 46, and that's real money for a young teacher. And then she also gets some additional pay for the school that she's been transferred to. You know, teachers, I don't have to tell you the way teachers have been shuffled from one school to the other with some of the cuts. But it was nice to see a teacher cheering instead of being sad about the profession that they chose. So, you know, I think that we keep a young teacher like her excited about teaching when we see some real money. So thank you. I know that you advocated for that for a long time, and everybody did. So thank you all.
Thank you for everything that you do, Senator.
Oh, you're welcome. It's not just me, it's everyone on this call. Okay, John, keep the ball rolling, man.
Yes, Madam Chair. Next up is Miss Veronica McDonald, who is the legislative chair for the Hillsborough County Council PTA.
Hello, Veronica.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, hi.
Hi.
Hillsborough County PTA represents over 200 local units with over 34,000 members throughout the county. Through advocacy, we seek to remind our state of its obligations to children and provide parents and families with a powerful voice to speak on behalf of every child while offering the best tools for parents to help their children become successful students. The budget crisis in Florida has continually had an impact on education. This crisis highlights that our dependence on sales tax revenue is not a sustainable strategy for meeting the needs of our state. Despite the economic shortfall, Florida must fulfill its constitutional obligation to provide a high quality, safe, and secure free public education, and must do so with the most appropriate and effective accountability measures. We encourage this delegation to expand economic opportunities that will strengthen our economic base. However, should a targeted tax credit be granted, there must be a named sustainable source of funding to replace the lost revenue from that tax credit. All educational institutions receiving public dollars, whether directly or indirectly, should be held to the same accountability and academic standards. Given the strain on businesses and families due to economic crisis, now more than ever, we must utilize and fully fund best practice ratios of qualified counselors and mental health professionals in our schools to help our developing children overcome their challenges. Additionally, school safety is of utmost priority, and we strongly oppose arming teachers or any individual who's not certified law enforcement. Finally, PTA will continue to work with you to support and fully fund high-quality childcare and preschool programs that are affordable and accessible, coordinated at all levels, federal, state, and local, and characterized by high standards for teaching, training, health, and safety. Thank you for this opportunity to speak and your commitment to the state. I'll follow up with your offices for further in-depth discussion and collaboration.
Thank you, Veronica. Happy holidays to you.
Next up is Miss Valerie Licata, who is the Vice President of the Hillsborough County Council PTA.
Joan, I don't see her in here. I'll let you know if she comes in now.
Okay, will do. Next up is Miss Terry Daniel, who is the Assistant Vice President and Assistant Vice President at USF.
Hi, and thank you. Can you all hear me and see me okay?
Yes, we can.
Okay.
There she is, yes.
Thank you, Chair Cruz and the Hillsborough County Delegation for having me here this morning. My name is Terry Daniel, and I'm the Assistant Vice President of Supplier Diversity at the University of South Florida. And President Corral sends his regards and wishes he could be here to speak this morning, but he is currently in an important Board of Trustee meeting. But I am here today because one of his top priorities is to continue to grow the utilization of diverse-owned suppliers in USF contracting. And so today I'd like to share with you a few of our successes. So since 2017, we have increased diversity spend from 4.6% to 8.7%, about a 3.5% increase in utilization. This is significant because a large portion of USF spend was with one national diverse-owned supplier who we are still using, but in a very limited capacity. That spend has since been replaced and grown because of USF's engagement with the local suppliers. And even though we look forward to our percentage of utilization continuing to increase, it's really more meaningful to USF because now we are impacting the local Tampa Bay business community in a more significant way. But we do still have some work to do. So we recently implemented some new reporting procedures internally to increase the visibility of our spend data. And we were notified recently by a Black-owned subcontractor that they had validated with their accounting department an additional $1.7 million in spend that was not included in USF's diversity spend reports because the contractors they worked with never actually reported that utilization to USF. So that's why we're working in a more comprehensive way with our contractor community, so we are capturing more comprehensive spend data. We are deeply committed to making transformative change in contracting with Black-owned businesses and our other diverse-owned suppliers across the Tampa Bay region. And we really, really welcome your suggestions, your ideas, and your help to continue with us moving this initiative forward. And we want to thank you for your leadership, for your partnership, and most of all, for your steadfast support and advocacy for USF. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Veronica.
Senator, this is Rep. Hart. I have a question.
You're recognized.
Ms. Daniels, have you all taken a hard look at your P card spending yet so that we could determine how those cards are being utilized when it comes to purchases from Black-owned businesses?
Yes, we are. We are engaging with JP Morgan Chase to break down that report in a more significant way. But one of the other things that we really just implemented, and the first reports were due on November 15th, is to have all of our colleges and departments reporting their spend. And we are already seeing information on those reports that have been made with P card purchases. And so we are incredibly excited to be able to get this data. And we're additionally launching some internal marketing and communications initiatives to really touch those P card users across the USF, all of our campuses, to make sure they are engaging with diverse-owned suppliers in a meaningful way. And then just one other thing I'd like to mention is we've recently implemented, as of November 1st, a requirement that every single purchase that is at the competed level, so that's typically $5,000 and above, now has to have one quote from a diverse-owned supplier so that we are engaging them on those opportunities. So we have taken a lot of internal steps to really, really focus on this and to move this forward.
Well, that's certainly a step in the right direction, Ms. Daniel. I think there are a few of us that will probably do some follow-up with you because we'll be anxious to see those numbers.
Yes.
Senator Cruz, I have a question.
You're recognized.
Thank you very much, Senator Cruz. Ms. Daniels, very much. It's a pleasure to meet you via WebEx here, and excited really for the work that you're doing at USF. My question is, you mentioned all of the things that you're currently doing, and that's wonderful. On a leadership level, though, has the Board of Trustees actually adopted a mandate or a policy that has an expectation that the spend will be or shall be X percent, whether it's 20, 25%, and make it across the board so that then in procurement, at the procurement level, if you have a policy that states that, then every single department, see, this is an easy fix. and it's fixed with policies. If you have that policy and that mandate from the Board of Trustees to instruct each and every department in every single silo must abide by having an expenditure of not only Black-owned businesses, women-owned businesses, Hispanic-owned businesses, small business, period, to the point that the procurement department and everyone with affiliated that has that ability to spend money has to follow that policy. Has USF, Board of Trustees, gotten to that point yet? If they haven't gotten to that point, next delegation meeting, we're gonna have the same conversation over again, because unless it's made policy, it's not gonna happen. Trust me, been there, done that. So
yeah, so to my knowledge, I mean, obviously I cannot speak for the Board of Trustees. We do have a policy as it relates to supplier diversity in place. We do have a designated goal of 13 to 20%. That is in our strategic plan that has been supported by our Board of Trustees, but it is not a mandate. So at this time, Representative Valdez, we do not have an actual mandate. In order for us to mandate that utilization, and from my knowledge, I know that there are currently a few disparity studies going on, and so we're trying to make sure that we're staying engaged and are getting that information. But once we have the data to support setting race, gender, and specific goals for utilization, we will be in a better position to actually set those specific goals for utilization by race and gender. So I am completely on board with you with that. You are absolutely right. And I think that we are moving in the right direction.
Great, awesome. Thank you.
Thank you all.
Chair.
All right.
Chair.
Oh, yes, I'm sorry. Senator Rousseau, you're recognized.
Thank you very much. It doesn't sound like a lot when you say it's been a 3.5% increase in utilization from 4% to 8% over 4 years.
Oh, yes, almost 9% actually.
Okay, well, I just want to make a statement that I support what James Ransom and Toba are doing, the push that they have made to get USF to do right by its spending. And I hope that you're really taking to heart, and I mean that from Representative Diane Hart, taking into consideration that he represents a good segment of the community.
We are certainly taking that to heart, and I honestly think that that's been evident in the things that we, and the policies and things that we have really put in place. We are, and I am personally committed, to making sure that we are engaging and making sure that our suppliers in this community have those opportunities. So we certainly take that to heart. We are certainly moving forward, I feel, in the right direction, and we are continuing to increase what we are doing with diverse-owned suppliers. So we appreciate that feedback.
Thank you, Terry. I know that we've all had many conversations, and I think there are some points that are well taken here, and that is that, advising someone that they should do the work or advising someone that they should report is not good enough. And, I do give James Ransom much credit. He may be seen by others as a thorn in people's side, but he has brought all of us together on this issue to help make sure that there's diversity in this contracting and an opportunity for small business owners to move forward in this boom especially. So I appreciate your time, Terry, and we're all watching. So thank you very much. Okay, John, let's keep going.
Yes, Madam Chair. Next up is Miss Vicky Carl.
I don't see her in the meeting, but I'll let you know if she comes in.
Okay. Following her is Miss Allison Fernandez.
I see Allison. Hi, Allison.
Hi, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Hello. Good afternoon. I am Allison Fernandez, and I'm here as the mother of 4 students and a very active community member. So I'm going to ask you, please avoid lockdowns, especially with regard to schools. We know that the research has shown that they're not very effective, and they are especially bad for students. We know that we want to provide a high quality education, but how can we do this if we actually pursue policies that are reducing student success? We know that when students are not in a brick and mortar school, they struggle with online learning. They're socially isolated. They have high absenteeism. They may have no safety net from abuse. They have no access to sports and extracurriculars. They spend much more time on electronic devices. They also lose the learning that comes from social interaction with peers. We know that students who miss 2 or more days each month of school have lower graduation rates, which reduce their future opportunities for the rest of their lives. I don't think that's something we can afford. We also know that many students are under attending their online classes. Many districts are noting that students are showing higher failure rates than previous years. This is going to be catastrophic to a child's future and extremely difficult to overcome. We know that in addition to being detrimental for students, it's terrible for our entire community to have an undereducated population. You know, our children are the future of our community. They deserve every opportunity to become the best that they can be. And their future and ours requires a well-educated workforce. So please base your decisions on facts and research, not speculation and emotion. Our children and families do not deserve to have their choices taken away. And it honestly, it does no good to claim that a lockdown is to protect children and families when so much of the research shows that there are so many negative impacts from keeping children out of school that they are not safer or better off being out of school. So we really want to make sure that our children have the ability to attend school, to keep their lives moving in a positive direction. And I really believe, and the research I believe shows that
Miss
attending
Fernandez.
school is better than staying at home. So thank you for your time.
Your time is up. Thank you. But I do have a quick question for you, Ms. Fernandez, given the fact that you know, the infection rates are at an all-time high across the country, and Florida is leading the way. I am the grandmother of 6 children, 4 of which live in Tampa and go to public schools. And the last thing that my stepdaughter would want is for us to close down the schools. But you know, we're in the midst of the worst pandemic and the worst numbers, much worse than even when this started. So what do you say to teachers that have been forced to go to the classroom or lose their position? Teachers who maybe are my age that are an at-risk population. I know it's important. Education is important for our children, and I think that what we're doing as a surgical approach. My granddaughter is home for 10 days now because someone in her class, or because she was possibly exposed. So I think that surgical approach to plucking students that were exposed is good, but you know, I feel like you're speaking only to the students and what you want for children's education, but what about all the others that are there, the teachers, the support staff that are at risk and they have to go back or they'll lose their jobs?
I guess to begin with, one of the reasons I'm speaking to the student side is because I don't hear anybody out there speaking to the student side. Everything I hear is for the other side of teachers and support staff, et cetera. And I'm not saying that's not important, but somebody has to speak up for the students also. But I believe that parents, teachers, and students should be given a choice. If a teacher, we do have the mechanics now to teach online. I think for a great number of students, it's a terrible option. But the mechanics are there. So if you have a teacher that prefers to be in an online setting, then that's a capacity that they would work in. But people need to be given a choice. I don't think it should be dictated to us.
Yeah, people have a choice now. And, our commissioner made it clear that if teachers didn't go back, they would lose their positions. So they didn't always have the option to teach from home. But we have work to do, and the vaccine is on the horizon. So we hope that all of this very soon will be a moot point. So thank you, Allison. Happy
Senator,
holidays.
I'd like to speak to Ms. Fernandez as well, please.
You're recognized.
Thank you, Senator. What I hear you saying, and I very much appreciate you coming and joining us today and offering your perspective on this. What I hear you saying is that if students want to stay home and do the e-learning, and the teachers want to do the e-learning, that they should be allowed to do that, and the teachers should be accommodated, and the students should be accommodated. And frankly, that works well for some families and not so well for others. And what I also hear you saying is that we ought to also have the option for brick and mortar, where the e-learning is not feasible and where the teachers are willing to come in. I mean, is that, and that everyone gets to make their choice about what's good for their family, and that the teachers, at this point, I'm not aware that the teachers are unwilling to come in such numbers that they're not able to accommodate the students. If maybe you could shed some light on if there's some difference at your child's school or something like that. But that's what I'm hearing. I'm hearing standard school choice.
Correct. For my family, e-learning is awful. My children do not do well with it, and we're bricks and mortar. I have one in law school, one in high school, one in college, and one's graduated. So for us, our choice was immediate bricks and mortar. I do know people, I have friends that virtual is working very well for them. And I have a lot of friends who are teachers, and they're mixed. Some are virtual and some are physically in the school. And that is really my main thing, is that I would really prefer that this is left up to the local community, to the teacher, to the students, to the support staff, and understand this. For our family already had COVID. We're not at risk for giving it, we're not at risk for getting it, but yet we're still required to adhere to all the same requirements. Well, we're not worried about being in bricks and mortar. And I think that there's a lot of people out there that this should be their choice, because we're talking about the education for our future leaders, our future doctors, our future, regardless, cashiers at Publix. And they deserve to have what they need in order to be educated. If they are not educated, the world requires you to have some form of education to be successful. You have to be able to read to go where you need to go. So we need to have the choice, is what I'm requesting.
I understand, and you have my promise that we will keep all school choice options open. And as far as I'm concerned, and I think I'm in alignment with the governor here, that that we're not going to have any more lockdowns. So that's my position. Other folks are certainly tending to disagree, but you have my promise on that, and hold me to it. If we do another lockdown, I want you to vote me out of office.
I appreciate it.
And other folks do disagree.
Yes.
Okay.
Which is perfectly appropriate, but I'm just stating my opinion and my preference. So, but thank you for your time.
That's what makes this country great, Allison, is that we all have the ability and the right to express our opinions. So thank you for being here. I appreciate it very much. Happy holidays.
Thank you, you too.
Okay, John, keep going.
Yes, Madam Chair. Next up is Ms. Julia Erbst and she is the Gulf Coast Program Director for Solar United Neighbors.
Great.
Julia.
Great, thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Great, excellent. Thank you, senators and representatives. I'm speaking from Solar United Neighbors about the immense benefits solar brings to our communities, specifically solar power purchase agreements, or PPAs, for distributed solar generation. PPAs are a smart solution to spur solar growth. They save taxpayer money and they strengthen our communities. They are not currently available in Florida, and we urge legislature to make power purchase agreements legal. A PPA is a finance tool where a developer installs, owns, operates a solar system on a customer's property. That customer purchases the system's electric output at a fixed rate. Customers see electric bill savings from day one while stabilizing budget expenditures from Florida-sourced renewable energy sources on site. PPAs allow schools, municipalities, places of worship, other tax-exempt nonprofits to benefit from solar with no or low upfront cost. PPAs provide immediate savings to the buildings that use them, and they're legal in a majority of states. They're a no-cost solution. Making them legal won't require any money from taxpayers. They provide savings on fixed energy costs that can be used for other critical expenses in recovery from the pandemic and future stability. This means millions of dollars in energy savings for schools and municipalities. Legalizing power purchase agreements would create more than 25,000 new jobs and spur $4 billion in economic investment. Buildings like schools play a critical role in our communities when storms hit. Powering them with solar makes them more resilient. And PPAs attract employers to locate and invest in Florida. We urge you to make power purchase agreements legal. They provide significant economic stimulus and savings at no cost to the government at a time when municipalities and nonprofits are struggling in an economic crisis. I thank you and have a safe and sunny holiday.
Thank you, Julia. Same to you.
Madam Chair.
Yes,
Madam Chair.
Senator, you're recognized.
Thank you very much. I just wanted to let you know that I have a 1 o'clock Pinellas delegation meeting with the school board. So if I jump off, it's because of that.
Well, speaking to that, we have 6 speakers left. So I'm going to suggest that we extend this meeting by at least 15 minutes so that everyone can be heard. Is there anyone that's against that?
Madam Chair, I'd make a motion to extend the meeting by 15 minutes.
Do I have a second?
Second.
So moved. All those in
Senator, I'm
favor
going
of
to have to
extending-
leave as well. So I was
You can't leave.
here. We have a training at 1.
There was only one person that's leaving, and Rusan asked first, Rep. Beltran, so you have to stay.
I'll stay for a few minutes. How's that, Chair?
I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Okay, all those in favor of extending for 15 minutes, say yay.
Yay.
Those opposed?
Nay.
Okay, we move forward for an extra 15 minutes. Thank you.
I just gotta go.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas, Chair.
Merry Christmas, Rep. Rusan. I mean, Senator Rusan. That's the third time today I've done that. Okay, I'm sorry. Merry Christmas, Senator Rusan. Okay, let's keep going, kids.
Next up is Miss Karen Gates.
Karen, are you in the house?
Hello.
Hi, Karen.
Hi. My name is Karen Gates, and I'm a victim, but I'm also a supporter of inmate reform. So I kind of sit on both sides of the fence. Much has been said about the budget deficit, so I'd like to point out that with the release of nearly 4,000 parole-eligible inmates, which costs nearly $20,000 a year for each inmate to be housed, there would be a savings of approximately $80 million annually. I'd also like to speak to the Commission on Offenders Review obligation to objectively determine facts and draw conclusions from those facts. I've attended numerous hearings, and the results are unpredictable because some of the commissioners' rulings are based on personal feelings and not on the facts or the interviewer's recommendations. I believe that this is against international law. The hearings are also indiscriminately allow for only punishment and not for rewards. I'd also like to bring to the attention a possible review of the clemency process, which is currently taking years to process applications. In addition, I'd like to call for a sentence review for those who have been incarcerated for decades, especially those that were 18 years or younger when they committed their crime. And I feel that the felony murder law is barbaric, should be rescinded, and the cases should be reviewed. And should any of you have any influence with the governor, could you please ask him to reply to his emails and his voice messages? Thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
I'd like to hear more about what you have to say. I wonder if you wouldn't mind reaching out to my office and we can set some time aside to, I'm interested by what you're saying, and it sounds like you've done a great deal of research. So thank you and happy holidays to you.
I would also like to say thank you very much for your comments. I too have attended the Parole Commission hearings, and I'm very, very disturbed by them. And I have been in conversation with them. But Senator, I look forward to working with you. There's a lot
Thank you.
done in
Thank
that.
you both. Happy holidays to all of you.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Go ahead, John.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Next up is Ms. Isabel Garcia, and she is the Executive Director for Redlands Christian Migrant Association.
Hi, good afternoon. Thank you, Senator, and buenas tardes, Representante Valdez. Thank you for having me. We're here at the end of your delegation. I just really wanted to introduce our CMA to all of you. We are the largest nonprofit child care provider in the state of Florida. We provide services to children particularly in rural communities. And the majority of the families that we serve are agriculture and farm worker families who are deemed essential workers in providing nations food. We are in 21 counties throughout the state of Florida. We have 66 child development centers, 19 family child care homes, and we also have 2 charter schools. One of them in your home, in your county, Hillsborough County in Waimama. It is a K-8 school. Both of our schools provide dual language learning in our curriculum. And we serve in a given year about 6,500 children. Again, about 1,000 of them are in Hillsborough County and 14 of the child development centers and our Waimama Community Academy School. And we're just here, I just participated to introduce our agency to all of you. I've visited many of you through some of our friends, and I look forward to continuing to get to know all of you. And I also invite you to take time out of your busy day to visit one of our centers in our schools to show the great things that we do. And Representative Valdez was just there Monday. I could not participate. I was impacted by COVID with in my family. Thank goodness, very mild. We're all doing fine. But I missed seeing the representative on Monday. But I heard it was wonderful. So thank you for this opportunity and happy holidays to all of you.
Thank you. Rep. Valdez, you want to add to that?
Oh my gosh, yes, I did. Thank you, Senator Cruz. I did post something in the chat, just in taking into consideration everyone's time. But Ms. Garcia, thank you very much for advocating for a very important population that oftentimes does get overlooked and is very doesn't get regarded as such. So the experience that I had over at RCMA was just phenomenal. Although I did not have the ability of have contact with the children because of COVID, in certain areas they have glass panes, and I was able to connect with little ones and see the work that they're doing. I do encourage our delegation members to go by there and see these particular charter schools do actually take care of a specific student population that otherwise the public system doesn't really do very well with them, because it's a lot that they have to deal with to help these families. So God bless you for the work that you're doing to help and protect our migrant families. And because if it weren't for the migrant families, my friends, we wouldn't have aguacates, we wouldn't have oranges, we wouldn't have anything of the nice things that we like to eat of fruits and vegetables, okay? Because they're the ones that pick it. So thank you once again for helping to prepare those students for life and empowering their families as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Rep. Valdez. And Rep. Lerner, typical rookie representative move. I don't think that you received a memo that said you weren't allowed to eat during the meeting, did you? I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I couldn't resist, though. All right, let's move on, John.
Yes, Madam Chair. Next up is Miss Adrienne Rodriguez.
Can you hear me?
Hey,
Hello?
Adrienne. We can hear you. Yep,
Okay,
we can hear you.
Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for the opportunity to speak. It's my first time speaking. I'm a little nervous, but the gist of it is that we desperately need the judicial excuse me, we need a judicial second look prosecutors bill. I'm going to speak of a veteran, Air Force veteran that's 76 years old, has been incarcerated since 1993 after 26 years of being exemplary with only one write-up his first year. He went before his case went before the three-person commission, the Florida Commission on Offender Review, and he was denied and told that they would consider parole in 2037. If he were to live that long, he would be 93 years old. Just on a side note, in 2018, the commission made 1,499 determinations and granted to only 14 inmates. That's 1%. They don't take into consideration the huge effort that's made, that so many have put forth working toward a goal that will never achieve because they're being judged by their charges rather than their merit and good behavior. So Jimmy's not the same person he was 34 years ago, nor are many that are behind bars, and there are thousands that have changed, that are remorseful and deserve a second chance. So as I said, we need a judicial second look prosecutors bill, FAM, which is Families Against Minimum Mandatory, ran it by Speaker Chris Sprouse, and he asked us, Florida Cares Charity, to send it to the House Criminal Justice Subcommittee. We need a sponsor, and I really want to know who's going to call me after the meeting and offer to help us push this bill. Ms. Diane Hart, Ms. Jackie Toledo, Mr. Mike Beltran, Centrist Driscoll. I've done extensive research on you four in particular. You guys are warriors. And I'm counting on you, and so are thousands of parole-eligible inmates. So thank you for your time. May God bless you, protect you. Thank you for everything that you do for us, and I hope to hear from you soon.
Well, Adrienne, I don't know why you were nervous because you were magnificent. So thank you very much for expressing and telling us about Jimmy, I think it was. So he has a real advocate and you're wonderful. So happy holidays to you. Does anyone have anything they want to add? All right, John, keep going.
Would anyone be willing to step up and push this bill for us, please?
I would just encourage, this is Rep. Driscoll, I would just encourage Adrienne to perhaps reach out to offices individually. I know we only have about 8 minutes left. Unfortunately, my legislative priorities are set, all my bill slots are full, but it doesn't mean that we can't find other ways to help. So maybe just reach out to everybody individually. And thank you for your bravery for speaking up today.
Thank you so much. Take care. Happy holidays.
You're welcome.
Next up, Madam Chair, is Ms. Shirley Daniels.
I don't see her in the meeting, John, but I'll let you know if she comes in.
Okay. Next up is Ms. Opal Hudson, who is a board member for Northside Behavioral Health Center.
Good afternoon, I guess, everyone. Thank you, senators, for the work you all do in and for our community. To reiterate what my colleague Lisa Monteleone previously stated, Florida is currently ranked 48th in the country for access to mental health services. But Florida is also ranked the third most populated state in the nation for 2020, a position we've held for a few years. In addition to the stats regarding lack of resources, we are now faced with a mental health fallout as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic. In a research article published in July 15th, the U.S. Census Bureau researchers found that compared to U.S. adults in 2019, U.S. adults in April and May of 2020 were more than 3 times as likely to screen positive for depressive and anxiety disorders, with more than 1 out of 3 screening positive for both. And given this research only took into account April and May, the civil unrest due to race relations was not a consideration for this research. In August, the CDC published a report on suicidal ideation during the pandemic, which notes that in late June, 40% of U.S. adults reported struggling with mental health and/or substance abuse, and that the pandemic has been associated with mental health challenges related to morbidity and mortality caused by the disease, and to mitigation activities, including the impact of physical distancing and stay-at-home orders. None of these studies, however, reported the impact this is all having on our youth and the disproportionate effects related to socioeconomics and race. Personally, and I'm sure you can say the same, I'm seeing my own children, my friends, family members, neighbors, and coworkers struggling mentally, people who never, at least visually, struggled before. And I truly believe if we as a community of citizens, lawmakers, parents, and people who just care don't work for change in regards to mental health, we will be facing, if we are not already, a mental health pandemic. Thank you for your time, and please keep this topic at the forefront of your work. Thank you.
Opal, you couldn't have said it any better than what you just said. Thank you very much. You know, as a woman who has a husband who's been pretty much quarantined since March, and we both understand the struggles of being home and doing the best we can. But this is hard. It's hard for everyone, and you're absolutely right. Between mental health issues and increase in domestic violence, and there's so much more that's going on. So thank you. Thank you for reminding us that we have to stay cognizant of all of that. We appreciate you.
Thank you. Happy holidays to you all.
Next up is, sorry, Madam Chair.
No, it's okay, John. You're fine.
Next up is Shamisa Greer, and she's a member of Organized Florida.
I'm sorry, she has some technical difficulties, but I do have a statement, and I'll be able to read it for you all. And my name is Reva.
There you go. There's Reva. Hey, Reva.
My name is Reva, and I'm with Organized Florida. I personally have several friends and family members who are currently facing eviction. COVID has been an unanticipated disaster. It has caused several of my friends and family members issues, including causing them to lose their income. While many people say, make sure you save for the unexpected, it is impossible for the most to have saved enough to withstand the impact of COVID. As COVID has lasted for most of the year now, it appears it will go well into next year. The cost of rent has been and still continuously increasing. Now, with the impact of COVID, getting the money needed to pay has been impossible, especially for my family and friend members who have lost their income. My friends and family who are facing evictions come to me. They wish that I had the ability to pay. They worry about where they will stay. They're worried about the eviction will impact their ability to get another place. No one should face eviction due to failure to pay during the COVID-19 pandemic. Floridians' criminally broken unemployment system has run dry, and COVID-19 continues to ravage our communities and economic. Our election leaders must take bold and necessary actions and put people over corporation greed and stop massive eviction before it's too late. Estimates show that statewide by January 2021, Florida renters face a shortfall of 2.1 to 2.3 billion in rent, with nearly 500,000 potential evictions filed and predicted. This amount does not include utility costs. We need direct assistance now. We need to repeal the pre-exempt that prohibits long-term rent subsidization at the local level. We need to end the requirements that tenants must front the money upfront, money landlords, claims to owe and go to court, and we must respond to
Your 2 minutes are up. Thank you.
Thank you, Reva. Happy holidays. Merry Christmas.
Same to you, and thank you all.
Madam Chair, we did have Ms. Tracy Zuluaga come back after she had audio issues earlier. If we'd like to give her the opportunity for these.
Let's hear from Tracy. We don't want to leave anyone out.
You did a good job, John. It's Zuluaga. Thank you for allowing me to speak today. Hillsborough County is my community. I grew up here, went to school here. I've had a career here and raised my family here. I've had the privilege of being acquainted with some of the delegates through community involvement and events like Rep. Hart, Valdez, Larned, and Rayner. I would like to make a plea that all members of our Hillsborough County delegation take the time to become familiar with the issues of criminal justice and prison reform before going to Tallahassee. In the state of Florida, we have 143 prisons and approximately 90,000 incarcerated men and women. Florida is known as the prison state. We have more people incarcerated in Florida than any other single country in the world. Many of these incarcerated individuals come from Hillsborough County and will be returning to Hillsborough County. They're returning from an environment that has only further supported criminal behavior and often making them much better criminals. They experience physical, mental, and emotional abuse at the hands of the Department of Corrections. They're dehumanized daily, and the Department of Corrections continues to be allowed to operate with very little to zero accountability for their actions, abuse, and retaliatory measures. The panel and the public need to be educated on the use of our tax dollars in the prison system. With 90,000 incarcerated individuals, there are less than 2% of them receiving education and resources annually. Most of our incarcerated individuals spend their days sitting on a bunk or watching TV. I need you to understand that the current system of warehousing is not reform, and incarceration is not rehabilitation. The Department of Corrections is complicit in committing RICO violations with regard to their vendor relationships, and I ask that this be further investigated and remedied. I ask that each one of you to commit to support or sponsoring at least one bill related to criminal justice or prison reform in the 2021 session. Passing some of these bills will save millions of dollars and produce positive results when returning these individuals to our communities. Please make your position known to Rep. Sproul, who uses his position to prevent any changes to the criminal justice and prison system in Florida. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. Thank you.
Thank you, Tracy. Happy holidays to you. I'm glad that we were able to catch up with you. John, is that every
I'd like
speaker?
to say something to Tracy.
Oh, absolutely. You're recognized.
Tracy.
Well, Madam Chair, though, point of information, we're over time. Do we need to extend time?
I just want to say.
We extended to, we are. Can we extend, would everyone please agree to a 10 more minute extension? You want to,
I'd make a motion for a 5-minute extension, Madam Chair.
second? So moved. All those in favor of a 10-minute extension say yay.
Yay.
Nay.
Nay.
Oh, who said nay?
I'm in Legislator University and I'm already 15. I've missed 15 minutes of it. So.
Okay.
Your class.
Anytime, Tracy. You don't have an obligation to be here for the whole time. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Okay, members, 10 more minutes. And I think, was it Rep. Hart that asked to say something more?
I just wanted to say that, Tracy, I greatly appreciate you coming on today to have this conversation with us. You probably know that I spent the last couple of years working on criminal justice reform. We are looking at that. Our 85 to 65% bill will help to rehabilitate by taking some of those dollars and putting it back for educational opportunities. I have already called that bill again. We're changing the name slightly and some of the information, but know that we are committed to trying to ensure that we make life better for many of the people that we have visited personally throughout the 55 facilities that we've been inside of. So I just want you to know that we are working on it.
Thank you. I know that you're a wonderful advocate. I appreciate you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, thank you, and thank you, Rep. Hart. Members, that's the end of our listed speakers. I want to give each member a moment, and I really do impress upon that when I say a moment, to wish those in the Tampa Bay a holiday greeting. So we'll start with you, Rep. Driscoll.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you for a well-run and efficient meeting today. I'd just like to say thank you to John. You did a fantastic job. We cannot do our jobs without staff. I'd like to thank my staffers, Raven Sansbury and Lucille Malone, for all that they do to keep us going. You know, our staff really didn't get a break. We rolled off from legislative session right into the pandemic, have been handling hundreds of unemployment claims. I just want to say to the residents of Hillsborough County, we see you, we hear you, we know that this has been a struggle, and we will continue fighting for you. I know the holidays look a little different this year, but please do what you can to stay safe. Take a little moment of quiet reflection to think about the things which matter most, which are family, friends, and health. And God bless each of you. Thank you.
Thank you. And we'll skip over to Rep. Rainier. It's your turn. Rainer. I don't know why I said Rainier, but go ahead.
Right. You've known me for like 20 plus years.
It's like, it's written that way here. And I'm like, okay, go ahead.
So I just want to thank Senator Cruz and John, of course, for this wonderful meeting and just echoing the thoughts of Rep. Driscoll. And just for everyone, I know 2020 has been, a challenging year for a lot of us, a challenging year for our families, a challenging year financially, and even just kind of emotionally kind of adjusting to our new normal. And so I'm just wishing everyone to have a most wonderful holiday. For those who are already celebrating Hanukkah, that it just would be a beautiful time of peace and reflection. And for those who are celebrating Christmas and Kwanzaa, or if you don't celebrate anything at all, but just taking this time to really reflect and, as I like to say, exercise some self-care. So thank y'all so much. Thank you for everyone that showed up to speak to us. We don't take it for granted. You taking time out of your day to come share with us. So we just appreciate it. So thank you again. Thank you for this space, Senator.
You're welcome. Merry Christmas to you. And Rep. Valdez?
Thank you very much, Senator Cruz, for this opportunity to just say a warm welcome, welcome for this holiday season. And, I can't, I agree with both Rep. Driscoll and Rep. Rayner on the sentiments of our staff members. There wouldn't be, the work that we do could not happen without our staffers. So I want to take this opportunity to recognize Nick Carper and Sarah Foster for all of their work that they're doing on behalf of the district, the residents of District 62. And to each and every one of you, thank you for being here on the call today. And I wish you, from the deepest part of my heart, unas felices Navidades and a wonderful new year. 2021 has got to be better than 2020, right? So
Agree.
We're in it together, and we're stronger than COVID. So we got this. Let's do this.
Love it. Rep. Toledo, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Can you see me? All right. Well, thank you. I'll make it quick. Yes. Merry Christmas to everyone, and thank you so much for everyone's time. I know this is probably not the ideal way to do it, but thank you for sharing everyone's stories and issues that are going on in the Tampa Bay area. And if anyone needs to go into detail, my office is always open. So thank you. Merry Christmas to everyone. Thank you.
Thank you. Senator Burgess, are you here? We'll move on to Rep. Hart. Are you there?
I'm here. I'm here. Thank you all so much. I'd just like to say happy holidays to everybody. For those of you who may have lost a loved one like I did, I lost my son this summer. This is my first Christmas without him. My heart goes out to each and every one of you all. I cannot say how much pain you all must be feeling if you're feeling anything like me. But I do know that God is in charge, and 2021 will be a better year for all of us. So thank you so much, Senator, for what you're doing.
You're welcome, Rep.
Everybody that's on this call. I will continue to pray for all of you all and to my staff, Paulette Smith and Malik Moore. I could not have gotten through this year without my staff. So again, thank you all. I look forward to serving you all.
Well, God bless you, Rep. Hart, and stay strong through the holidays. I know that will be hard for you, but we're praying for you. Always waiting patiently is Rep. McClure. Are you there? You may have had to go. Okay, Rep. Leonard, if you finished eating your sandwich, it's your turn.
I was going to echo the comments thanking staff for the wonderful lunch that they brought me, and they are currently having a heart attack when they heard your comment. So thank you for keeping us on our toes. Thank you for everybody from across Tampa Bay for participating today. I'll speak on behalf of all of the new people, I suppose. It is a lot of information we are trying to digest very, very quickly. And we appreciate you all trying to keep it as concise as possible so that we could, we were feverishly scribbling notes here. And I really do look forward to scheduling one-on-ones with many of you in the weeks and months ahead. And thank you again, Senator, for your leadership, not just at Tampa Bay, but of this meeting so that we can get on to other things. Thank you so much.
You're welcome, Andrew. Happy holidays to you. I know that Rep. Rousson is gone, and he'll be sorry that he missed this, as well as Rep. Beltran. I just want to say thank you for everyone who was patient and helped us get through this without being here for 8 hours. I appreciate it. I thought this was a very well-run meeting, and that is largely because of John Learn and our friends at the county. And I too want to thank my staff, John Learn and Deborah Martin and Beatrice Zafra, because I think that a lot of what I am and a lot of what I do is because of my staff who worked so hard throughout the year for very little money and ask for nothing and come back the next day and do it again all over with the enthusiasm that's astounding to me. So I want to thank you guys for that. I also want to wish our Tampa Bay area, whatever your holiday is. In my home, we celebrate Hanukkah. In my home, we celebrate Christmas. For those of you that celebrate those, Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Kwanzaa. Some folks are, Ramadan, I think, falls at the same time of the year. So whatever it is that makes you happy and brings your family together and reminds you of how lucky we are and how much love we have, this is a tough time. The vaccination is around the corner. I know that I will be in line for that, as will my husband, whenever it's available. I think as leaders in our community, we should encourage and be role models in our community to encourage folks to be vaccinated and make themselves and their families safe. So here's wishing the very best to everyone through the holidays. Thank you very, very much. I actually enjoyed this meeting. It was good to be in touch with the community and also connect with my fellow legislators. So thank you all. Merry Christmas. Happy holidays. Be well. Bye.
Senator Cruz, this is Rep. Driscoll. I know we were just about to go, but I'm monitoring the chart, and there's someone named Shirley Daniels who has been on since the start and said she did not get the opportunity to speak. Should we extend by just 3 minutes to give Ms. Daniels an opportunity to speak?
I don't think that Ms. Daniels registered. We asked people to register ahead of time, but I'll tell you what, we're not going to turn anyone away. So Ms. Daniels, you have the floor. John, will you unmute Ms. Daniels, please? Ms. Daniels, are you there?
She's unmuted, but I can't hear her.
Ms. Daniels, can you speak up?
Okay, then. Yes, perhaps you can then follow up with your office afterwards.
Yeah.
We tried.
If you can hear us, just know that the new chair will be Rep. Hart moving forward, and I think we'll probably have a February meeting. Is that right, Rep. Hart? Just before session?
Yes, we will.
So we promise you'll go first. How about that? And just remember to register. Okay, everyone, take care. Have a wonderful day. Enjoy the holidays.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.